It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
All right, buzz, buzz, babies. That's the Blake's Buzz theme song. That was the best $50 I've ever spent. And I used to party hard, and I spent $50 on some weird shit. So, like, you know, we're in a good spot already. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blake's Buzz Live. My name is Blake Morgan. You may have heard from me about from like Blake's Buzz or Blake's Buzz Live, or I also do a podcast called Blake's Buzz. I didn't get creative with my name. I just went with one name and just did a whole bunch of other shit around it. I love indie comics, and I'm here to talk about indie comics, and I have a rather stellar, studly group of real talented motherfuckers here with me tonight. I'm going to go around the room. We're going to introduce each other. We're going to talk and have fun, talk about all our comics coming out. The first person on my rotation is Mr. Adam Rose. How's it going, sir? How you doing?
I am buzzing.
Yes.
I am a tingle. I am a buzz. I want to ask if you happen to be a fan of which Bumblebee, like either the Transformers one or the Teen Titan one. But yeah, I'm great. I'm fired up to be on here. I'm kind of honored and flabbergasted just to get to be on with these other creators. I mean that, like, I haven't had that opportunity before, so I just want to say hello to all you all, and I just thank you, and I can't wait to just hear about your work too. Yeah, I'm psyched to be here. I got a comic coming out in a few weeks. And,
yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Corollary from Source Point Press. It's so cool. Mr. Flabbergasted over here has got a badass comic. Just got a real good review from the Lotus Crew, which are awesome people. And I feel like you called me out because I'm just giving you shit right now. But Adam sent me. He was like, "Hey, these guys reviewed me," and it was from the Lotus Comics blog. And I love those guys are like great people and write great reviews. But if anyone knows, like, my blog is in limbo right now because I pulled it all off of Wix, and I was like, all right, I'm going to rebuild my blog. But in the midst of that, I was like, oh, let's also do a live stream every week. So I'm doing a podcast once a week, a live stream once a week, and I'm trying to rebuild my blog, and it's not going great. The blog rebuilding part. This is good. The podcast is good. The blog part isn't. But Adam, I feel like Adam was like, hey, where's my review, motherfucker?
Far from it. Yeah. No. I was like, oh, hey, if you wanted to, read a little, it came out today. It was just a good coincidence. Yeah, no,
I'm happy. And like I told you, I read it as well, and I was fully impressed with it, fully impressed with the art, fully impressed with the storytelling. We're going to talk more about it, once we do the round robin. But yeah, I love Source Point. They're such great people. And it's so like punk rock because they like basically run a fucking publishing house out of like someone's garage. Like, it's just awesome. And anyways, like, I really appreciate them. They have a great eye for talent. Adam, you have an awesome comic. It's really cool. We're going to talk more about it. I promise. I won't leave you out of the circle. But we're going to keep going on the introduction deal. And next up on my screen is Mr. Jeff Schiller. Who's just, we've talked on Twitter a lot. We shoot the proverbial shit, right? We hang out, right? And talk comics and talk, all the weirdness in our nerdy world. But you have a second issue live on Kickstarter for Magic Powder, which is also a very good comic. Here's a funny story. So, like, I think everybody knows, like, my dog is sick, and like, so the family's coming over to visit the dog, right? Everybody wants to see her, and my cousin tonight was asking me about the podcast, and she was like, so like you just go like live and you just talk to these people? And I was like, I know, it's fucking ridiculous, right? Like, what was I thinking? And she was like, well, like, she was like, do you read their comics? And I was like, fuck yeah, I read their comics. I was like, Blake's Buzz is known for one thing. Like, if I'm going to refer to a comic, I'm going to read it. I'm going to believe in it. and I'm gonna put my own money where my mouth is, and I always do that. And your comic, my mouth, my money, your comic, all entities have combined. It's fucking dope, dude. You're a real solid writer, and I love that you're hustling on the podcast network. Like, I love to see you around the digital town, baby. Like, and I'm glad. I'm glad you decided I was worthy of that. But anyways, regardless. How much more can I boost you up? You got a rad like mafioso fantasy comic. Like it's a genre blend that you did not expect, ladies and gentlemen. It's really cool. And Jeff, I'm just glad you got to come hang out tonight, man. And how you doing? Look at
good,
that.
man.
There it
I'm
is. Hold
it
up again, baby. Hold it up again. There we go.
Right
Look at that. Yeah.
That's issue number 1 for
that. That number 1 cover is so sick, by the way.
Yeah, my man Sam, he's out in Nigeria. He did the cover for this one and the main cover A for issue number 2, which is on Kickstarter right now. Yeah, he's great, man. I got lucky. I found him on Facebook. So yeah, I can't believe it. But so I don't even remember where we're gonna start with this because you're talking so much that I interrupted you.
Dude, I'm sorry. That's
on me.
Yeah,
that's on me.
That's gonna be a problem throughout the
thing.
night. Is me talking too much.
Yeah, that's fine, man. This is your show. But I wanted to say I didn't decide you were worthy. You hit me up and told me I was worthy to be on here. So thank you to have me on. And same thing with everyone else. Like I really didn't think I would get to do many podcasts or anything like that this time. Because where I'm at right now, we don't really have great internet. So I'm even happy right now. I can hear you guys all perfectly and everything. So I'm pretty stoked. And even the last couple of podcasts I did at my friend Brandon's house that I used to like have as a roommate a while ago. And so, yeah, I just been lucky. Like, you know, people have been hitting me up. I got to go on here. I got to go on Explain Yourself with Kevin Joseph and Will. And then, you know, what was it? The Friendly Neighborhood Morning Show with Lauren. That was really cool. And
nice.
Then I didn't get to. Oh, what's the other one? Is like We Have Issues. They hyped me up really good. I wasn't on there, but they talked about my comic, and you know, everyone that's on their show, everyone who watches their show, they really came in heavy on the Kickstarter.
Damn,
so yeah,
you weren't even on there, and they were fucking selling you.
Yeah, they put me over big, man. So yeah, it was cool. So yeah, I think it's just, you know, like you said, I'm pretty big on the Twitter thing, just because I'm sitting here anyway. What else am I gonna do? So I just try to hype it up all day. I even try to search out other people. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm on there. I have little search bars. Like if you're back in a Kickstarter campaign and you post about it, I probably know about it. Like stuff like that. If you Dungeons and Dragons, I look up a lot of people who play like, you know, tabletop RPGs and use that hashtag a lot, just because the Dungeons and Dragons theme kind of goes with Magic Powder, with all the you know, the goblins and dwarfs and everything like that. So, and elves obviously, but so yeah, so like you said, it's like mixed with mafioso stuff. Like I like to say it's like The Wire meets Dungeons and Dragons, or Breaking Bad meets Dungeons and Dragons. But originally I based it off of kind of a show called Gomorrah, which is from Italy. And I was watching that during the pandemic. It looks like my man Adam knows what's going on. So I like that. Yeah, it's hard to find people who watched it. My dad made me watch it because the name kind of threw me off. So I was like, I don't know, but it meant Camorra and not, you know, something else. And the Camorra is just like a smaller mafia in Italy instead of like the Cosa Nostra, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just a really great show, and it's really gritty, and it's a lot like The Wire in a lot of ways, just based in Naples. So yeah, I got really hooked on that show, and it was during, like I said, the whole COVID times, and I was quarantining, and man, I had to find something to do with my life. So I was like, well, I was trying to make a video game with my friend, and that kind of fell through because his job went back to work. So I was like, man, what am I going to write? And like, you know, I had this idea really ready. So I found an artist on Reddit, and I got lucky. Danielle was, you know, he was just on the comic book collabs Reddit, and that's where I found him. And we've made 2 issues so far. He's down to do issue 3. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to keep rolling.
Dude, that's awesome. I also want to, I do this every week. I apologize because I can't remember to look at the comments. Even when like the fucking Mad Cave hot shit writer David Hazan is commenting. Also, we've got Ignacio in the house, the Buzz Boost. You guys are ridiculous. You're gonna get like 3 backers. These guys make it out there like, if you come on the Blake's Buzz show, you're rich. You start in a regular place and you leave rich as fuck, and it's not what happens.
Blake Buzz Bump. I like it.
Oh, Lauren's in the house too tonight. Thanks for stopping by, Lauren. Appreciate you. Oh my God. Holy shit. Fellhound is watching my show.
Hello.
Whoa. We made it. I've got legit real comic pros in the house. Oh, look at all these fucking people. This is ridiculous. What are you guys doing? Don't you have comic books to make and Kickstarters to run? How are you in this? Chat. Anyways, all right. So yeah, I'll forget all these comments later, and if anyone wants to remind me, like, hey asshole, check the comments every now and then, that'd be great. Because I will forget. Anyways, all right. So that's all right. So we started there. All right, and let's see. Let's see. How do I fell? I appreciate you, but all right, here we go. No, all right, back. All right, next up, Mr. Renton Hawkey. Who the fuck are you, dude? Like, I want to fucking pick your genius ass brain. You are ridiculous. Like, you are ridiculous. Tell us why you're ridiculous.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Tell us
first of all,
Ronan.
echo everybody else. Yeah. Well, I mean, to echo everybody else, to start off, thanks so much for inviting me on. Your enthusiasm for comics and especially the independent space, very infectious. Definitely looking into the show a little bit, felt like a place I wanted to be. So happy to be here. Beyond that, didn't prepare too much of an intro, kind of a live in the present kind of a guy. As far as that goes, it was like 60 degrees outside today here in Madison, Wisconsin. Went outside, smoked a cigar, had a glass of whiskey. I'm feeling all right. So, that's kind of where I'm coming to you from right now.
Nice. I told everyone that. They're like, "What do I like, Blake? Do I need to do anything before the show?" I was like, "Yeah, have some drinks, loosen up."
Yeah. I watched a couple of the other live streams, and I was like, I can do this.
Yeah, I keep it pretty loosey goosey. Like let me make a fool of myself and shout out all your guys' awesome comics. But no, oh my, all right. So no, I just want to say that Ronin Digital Express impressed the absolute shit out of me, man. Like, it's so cool. It is so cool. And I have to apologize because I do all this myself, right? Like, kudos to me. I'm awesome. I get it. Like, I'm putting myself out there. I'm doing the hustling, but like, I lose track of emails, man. I lose track of shit. I get confused. I have bad days. I ignore things and so I try to do Blake's Buzz 24/7, but it's more like Blake's Buzz 24/6.5 maybe. But you had sent me a message and we had talked previously and I told you I was busy and I apologized. And then I went back and looked at your fucking Substack and I was like, why did you tell this guy you were busy, you fucking moron? Like, that's what I said to myself. I was like, this dude's on another level. He's like putting out some fucking hot shit, dropping it like it's hot, doing it all solo. And like, dude, like,
I would love to give you a hard time, except I'm very much in the same boat as you. So I kind of put together my own little media list of, hey, here are some reviewers I might like to talk to. Here's some podcasters I might like to talk to. I got real organized. It's got a Google Doc, color coded, all that shit. I sent out a bunch of emails and I didn't really record who I sent emails to myself. So I sent out like 50 emails. This is a learning experience, right? I'm just learning as I go. Sent out like 50 emails. And then, a week went by and like 10 people emailed me back. And I was like, people emailed me back. Cool. And so, made some connections that way. So, anyone who emailed me back and was like, hey man, too busy right now. I was like, that's all right. I forgot that I had emailed you in the first place because I'm an idiot and I didn't leave myself a note. Whatever sins you think you may have committed there, I exonerate you. I can't hold it against you for doing basically the same thing and being very disorganized on my own part. So
well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad we're all on the same level here, and I like that the Mr. David Hazan, who was on the last Blake's Buzz podcast episode, who I don't know if you guys have heard of David Hazan, but he's writing Nottingham, which is like the best fucking the Robin Hood story that's ever been made. I'll say that now and I'll die on that hill. And he also loves to so here's a funny story, guys. We're gonna go into the side with all this is about sidetracking, right? We're gonna talk about your comics and we're gonna make sure everybody knows where to find you, but we're also about sidetracking and tangents and life. And so, like, do not be scared to talk about random shit because that's what we're here to do. David Hazan, I've talked to this dude twice. He's been on the podcast twice, and my podcasts are usually about an hour and a half long. Like the general podcast rules. If like you do like an over 2 hour podcast, you have to be like a god king to like get people to listen to it. So like you have to like cut and edit, and it's just so stupid because it's like really like we all watch like a 7-episode series in a night when we have shit to do, right? And we're like, oops, I accidentally watched 7 hours of shit on Netflix. But you can't have an hour-and-a-half episode of podcast. Like, I don't know. Anyways, but regardless, David and I have talked twice, and I have like over 7 hours of audio of David and I talking, and a good over 2 hours of that is him reminding me that I can't talk about the stuff he's telling me, because he like gave me some sneak peeks on some cool stuff he's doing, and he's about to just like explode all over the comic book world, and we're all gonna be happy with everything he's giving us. But anyways, David knows, and everybody's gonna leave Blake's Buzz emotionally rich, and I'm gonna take that to the bank. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna feel good about it. Renton, I'm so glad that you forgave me for being a clusterfuck email doer, because I'm a bad email doer. but we made it here. We're here. Like, it's happening.
We're here.
Next up. Who like I see you, Sean. You got excited. You know it's coming.
Yes, I
up.
do.
All right, we got a Dauntless story, experimental comic book releasing. He writes, he draws, he has a really astounding historical noir mystery releasing in an experimental way. Not necessarily experimental, but well, yeah, it's different. It's releasing in a different way. And Mr. Sean Dicker, I'm your first interview. I don't even know.
Happy to be here.
I don't even. Yeah, are you though? Like,
I'm super excited to be here. I honestly, like, I didn't think I would be doing podcasts and whatnot. I'm still like a super small creator. I don't really have that big of a following. Uncovered Grave is literally my first book.
Well, screw you, dude, because it's too good. That's too good to be your first. It's good. It's very good.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
You just like woke up. You're like the Instagram model. Like, I woke up like this. You're like, I just woke up and dropped this fucking badass comic.
Yeah, I try my best, man. I like to call myself a little bit of a triple threat. I write, I draw, I color. I got Justin Birch lettering my book. Fantastic.
One of the best letters. You're already in good. You're already in a good place.
Great friend.
So going off Fell's, so Fell likes me, but until I announced that like you were coming on the show, she was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be there." So like, how do you know everybody's favorite artist and comic book creator?
It's actually kind of funny. I wouldn't have gotten Uncovered Grave without Fell.
What?
So we're in the same like group message on Twitter, and I hit them up because I was nervous about not landing another gig. I had a gig fall through, and they added me to another group message where I actually met Marcus at Dauntless. And Marcus saw some pages I was doing, like the first 5 pages of Uncovered Grave, just black and white stuff that I was working up as a pitch. He asked me to send it over to him, and it's been history ever since. Like, he loved those first 5 pages, and we've been working together on this new kind of experimental way of releasing it. So we're doing like 6 pages every week. This week,
it's a Substack model, but not on Substack, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like $13 every week. You get a 6-page chapter, or $20. You can just wait until it's all out there, and you can get the printed copy. And for $30, you can get both the weekly like newsletter and the physical copy of the book.
Nice. I'm going to ask you more questions about this later.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I just want you to know that you're killing it, by the way.
Thank you so much. That really does
you
mean
do
a lot.
not feel like you've never done this before. Well, don't say
actually
as
took,
much.
like, a
I'm just
public
fucking with you,
speaking
dude. Like
class,
say
so, like,
all I do is say like and fuck all the time. Like say whatever you want. I'm sorry, but no,
it's all good.
you feel very like comfy. You feel like you've talked to weirdos like me before, but you haven't, which is crazy.
Yeah, so I went to the Savannah College of Art and Design a few years ago, and I graduated with a degree in sequential art. So literally, I was surrounded by comics people, comics weirdos. Like,
Nice.
this is what I'm used to. This is my happy place. I love the indie scene, and I'm really happy to be here.
Nice. So my whole background on all this shit, because I was in an MFA creative writing program, and so like I treat a lot of my interviews as like loosey goosey, like workshopping. Like that's kind of how because that's what I'm comfortable with. Like I'm gonna like tell you guys what I think, and like I mentioned before, like I read your stuff before. I have faith in the stuff. Like if you're on my show, my listeners, like I believe that they should give you money, and it's worth giving you guys money. And again, like all of you are in that spot. You're in that hot money spot tonight, which is, and it's cool because and again, I'm excited because like so Sean, like you and Renton, like you are releasing your comics similarly, except Renton is on Substack and you're going through Dauntless, and Dauntless is like doing their own thing, which is just so punk rock metal. Adam and Ruben are in the direct market, which is, what a good segue. I'm such a good podcast host. Let's talk to Ruben Romero, who's just like, so Ruben and I had an interview scheduled before, and I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I feel like I put good energy out into the world, but like good things keep happening to me, and then like the world comes back and they're like, too much good shit happened, bro. Like time to drop some real shit on your lap. And then I have to like email people and I'm like, hey, I'm real sorry. Like shit happened in my family and we need to reschedule. And Ruben was super cool about it and understood. And I just appreciate you. But regardless, you're here now. We're here now. We're in this together. It's a mess, but we'll deal with it. It's good, right? The Illusion Witch, which you put out via Kickstarter, and now you're on one of the most metal fucking publishers in the game right now. Like Behemoth is doing some real cool shit and has an awesome name. It's got to feel good to say, right? When you're like,
it does.
Like, oh, who's putting it out? Yeah, The Illusion with Behemoth Publishing. Like, it makes my hair stand up, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited. First and foremost, thank you. No, not a problem. When we had to reschedule, man, I understand. Life is life. I have a toddler, so at the end of the day, I know that like at any given moment, things can just go
turn
the
to
opposite way.
Shitty diapers, shit smeared walls, something weird's gonna happen.
Exactly. So no worries on that. I'm glad to be here with all these talented gentlemen, and I'm like kind of blown away how everybody has a very similar feeling about how like they didn't feel like they're either were going to get interviews or worthy of interviews. And it just shows like how we all as creators have like all the same insecurities. Like we all may have different brains and different personalities and different quirks, but we all have the same exact insecurities where like, it's just, we're not good enough. And, no matter how good we are, no matter how good we see ourselves, I think we still kind of deal with those problems. So it's kind of cool to hear everybody say that, because I definitely, when I first started out, did not think this is where I was going to be, especially on Behemoth or on a live show talking about a comic book that I put together.
You cry in your shower under cold water sometimes too?
God,
that's what I was doing before we jumped on.
Yes,
that's why I'm wearing the hoodie. I came out. I didn't have enough time to warm up, so it was just. I've got a nice little bench in the shower. I just sit there and just sit under, just cry all the time.
That's why I wear the sunglasses. Like people give me shit because everybody knows I like. So Ignacio is so right, by the way. Like we all need to be better fans of ourselves. We all need to have faith in ourselves. It's easier said than done, right? Even Ignacio, I know Ignacio gets stressed and stuff sometimes, even though like my boy Ignacio is blowing up. Like everybody wants a piece of this dude's pencil head, man. Like Ignacio needs to be on the show. Like he's always in the comments, but he like needs to be on the show. Like, I'm just gonna make him a co-host one of these days. but he already co-hosts another show. So if I make him a co-host, then he's gonna fall behind on the comic books he's making, and then I'm just gonna like disrupt the indie comic book scene more so than I'm doing already. So I don't even know what to do. But no, like I totally understand not having faith in yourself, even when everybody around you is like grabbing you by the shoulders and shaking you, and they're like, "You're cool, stop it." But it's just like, it's weird, you know, like we don't, it's easier. It's like so many things in life. It's easier said than done, right? Especially when you're new at it, especially when this is all fresh and new and you don't know what's going on. Your comic book hasn't even come out yet, you know, and you're looking at pre-order numbers, or you're looking at, you know, Substack subscriptions, or you're looking at email subscriptions through a different website, or you're like Jeff, you're stressing at like Kickstarter numbers because, you know, you can't not look at them, right? Like everybody pretends like we can like separate ourselves from these things, but like you're very much like in it, and you're focusing on it, and it just gets intense. You know?
I put out a tweet like a week ago about that, kind of where I was like, you know, how many times do other people refresh their Kickstarter page, you know, during the campaign and stuff like that. Someone, I don't remember who it was, but they were like, I only look at it the first day, and then I'll look at it till it ends. And I was like, well, I don't believe that guy.
Yeah, but, I don't tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I don't even remember if I responded, but like I remember even telling my dad like yesterday about it, because we were talking about it. Because even my dad goes like, "How many times do you think you looked at that? Since your campaign started?" And I was like, "Well, what's it been, like 26 days?" I'm like, probably over 100 times a day. I'm like, at least 3,000 times I've looked at it. You know, if you can't look at the phone too. Yeah, I'm literally sitting here. I'm just like watching TV or doing that, or you know what I mean. I'm not really doing a whole lot unless I go bowling on Wednesdays. Like I haven't really. Busy doing much else. So, unless I'm bowling, I'm pretty much looking at that stupid Kickstarter page or tweeting about it or on Instagram about it. You know what I mean? I can't wait till it's over. I'll tell you that. It's only like 3 days left anyway, but man, it's just.
I will say you're good at the social media part. Like you're very present. You're very good at in a non-annoying way reminding your followers to check these things out, which I think I think that's the hard part. I've interviewed Kevin Cuff and Bob France for their last campaign, the Dust Pirates, and Kevin was joking about Bob because he was like I check it a lot, but Bob will text me at 3:00 in the morning when he gets up to piss, and he'll be like, "Oh, we got 3 backers," or "Oh, we lost a pledge," or like, and he'll be like, I fucking like. Get these updates from Bob like at these weird times, and so yeah, it's like it's your baby, right? Like it's this weird digitally created baby,
and it's on such a time limit too. Like what I mean, it's not like, oh, it's just over a whole year or something like that. It's like those 30 days, that's all you got. So I mean, you're always looking to see something. Oh, maybe something relevant will come up. Like, oh, that's a number that goes to this. Like, I have like a sports Twitter that I don't really use it that much. But say like a number's coming up that's like a popular player or something like that. I'm like, hey, who wants to be this guy? And sometimes it works. You know, you never know. There's just so many ways you can entice someone to back it, especially if it's like late at night and they're buzzing like we are. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I hate the idea of it, because like I do feel annoying when I'm tweeting about it so much. But like as far as like me looking at it, I'm sure it's harmless. I don't tweet, or like I guess I hit up some people like when I hit a certain marks, like my sister and stuff, because my other 2 artists that I work with are out of the country, so I don't really have them on text like that. I guess I could email them, but I don't even bother. Yeah, man, it's fun. It's just it's fun seeing the numbers go up. I feel bad because like I'll have those days where nobody backs it or whatever. But some people I know with great comics, stuff like that, they don't have the same following, and even if I retweet them or shout them out, like they just won't get eyes on it, and that's what bums me out. Because then eventually I got funded, so I don't have to worry about it. But some of these guys, they don't get funded, so that's what sucks.
Yeah, no, it's I had a really good run of people I interviewed that got funded, and I think part of it was that like I was smart in who I interviewed, right? But I did have one guy that like I believed in his comic, like it was good, it fucking blew me away. Like I read tons of comics, I've read all your guys' comics, it's great. Like, but like I'm so blessed in that like I'm on press lists and I get so much indie stuff, and I get bombarded with stuff, and the stuff that I get to read, and there are so many great comic books out there, and it was weird. Like I found this guy and I was like, man, like I love this guy's comics. I believe in this guy's comics, and he did a Zoop campaign and he didn't make it. And I was like, man, like I tried, like I was out there, like I was being annoying about it. I was legit being annoying, like back this motherfucker's campaign. It's good. Like, why aren't you people back? I was getting mad at people. I was like, like I was to the point where I was like, unfucking follow me if you don't think this is sci-fi.
We're not cool no more, man. Yeah.
And so, but yeah, and it just like, it bummed me out because it bums me out. Just the crowdfunding deal. Like, I think crowdfunding is amazing, but it irritates me sometimes when I see the talent there and I'm like, they shouldn't have to do this. You should have a publisher fucking fighting for you. And it irritates me that that's not always the case. But, and I understand that it's not always going to be the case, but regardless, like, I feel like I have a good eye for talent, and good writing and good comics. And all I can hope at the end of the day is that, like, you guys putting up with my bullshit maybe gets you like a pledge or two. I don't know. Like, like,
I mean, even if not, I'm glad I met all you guys. You know what I mean? Obviously, I haven't met you in person or nothing, but it's cool, just even being on here, hearing everybody, their story and everything like that. Like, it's just crazy. Even like being here for Sean's inaugural interview, it's big time.
I know, man.
Huge, we were here.
I told you were talking about talking to your dad. I was talking to my dad. I was like, man, this dude's coming on the show tonight, Dad. And he's like, he's been tweeting all day, like it's his first interview and he's really excited. And I'm like, I'm just gonna let him down. Like, he's gonna be like, what the fuck did I just do for 2 hours? And I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry.
No, I was tweeting about that all day because I didn't want to let you down. Like, I know I'm relatively smaller, and I was like, I don't want to let this guy down. I want to make sure that there's still enough buzz going on around this episode. So,
oh no, man. If there's one thing I'm good at, and there's not many if there's not many things that I'm good at, but if there's one thing I'm good at, I worked in a bar for 7 years. My main job, I talk on the phone all day, and now I interview people, and basically all I do is talk to people all fucking day, and then sometimes get to sleep. But I'm pretty good at getting people out of their shells. Even if you're uncomfortable, like, I'm going to make you laugh. I'm here so that you guys have a good time too, but also so that we learn, about your guys' comics. And so, yeah, I think it's really, like, I'm so honored that you're my first interview. No, I'm your first interview. Like, that's so cool. And again, like, it also just shocks me because you have a great book, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to go counterclockwise now. We're going to hit each other's books and we're going to talk. We're 30 minutes in. I know it feels like forever, guys, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So Mr. Ruben Romero. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I forgot to share my screen. Shit. Oh man, I'm already fucking up. Fucking up, guys. Here we go. All right. So Ruben Romero has The Illusion Witch, and what we have recently done in the last couple weeks is I do my dramatic. Oh wait, we're sharing the screen. We don't want to see that. Oh wow. All right. Let's get. Hold on. All right. Whew. All right. Just kidding, everybody. We're fine. We're back. The technology is back. We're fine. I put my dramatic voice on, and I read your solicit, and we're going to talk about it. And that's what we're going to do. So, all right. So let me get your solicit pulled up here. All right. Here, are we ready? You guys ready? You guys ready for this? I was never an acting major, but like, might as well be.
Just go for it.
Just go. All right. Here we go.
Just go for it.
Here we go. The Illusion Witch tells the story of Aja Locke, a world-famous illusionist traumatized by the loss of her father and son. She's become cold and disconnected from reality, transported into a sorry fantasy world filled with magic and danger. Aja is paired with a talking coal, a little tiny animal that I severely mispronounced, a warrior, his son, and a powerful mage. Haunted by the three, a wraith with monstrous intentions, Aja will face her inner demons while battling real-life monsters in her attempt to save herself. And sorry, how the fuck did you create such a wildly not character that I want to love? Like, she's so mean. She's
She
so
is.
fucking mean. But like, you drop issue 1 and like, guess what? I fucking care about her and want her to win and want her to change her life and want her to defeat the evil and want her to take this key and do something. Like, what kind of dark magician are you, Mr. Ruben? Because you're a really good writer, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I don't want to kill nobody's buzz, but I think I went through a very tough situation. I lost my mom, a few years back, and watching her go was probably one of the most difficult situations in my whole entire life. And after that, I realized that I had taken a step back from pretty much all my friends, all my family. I had become very disconnected with just everyday life, and I didn't really want to do anything anymore. And one day, had a conversation with my brothers, and I'm not going to go into the whole details, but I realized that that I never really got to show my mom what I could do. So I got to work, and in 2014, I published The Agency through my small publishing company at the time that I started, called Think Alike Productions, with my best friend and my ex-wife. We got into Diamond. We pumped out the first 5 issues. And then life is life. And me and my ex-wife got a divorce. And I took a little bit of time off. And then I jumped right back in around 2018. And I just started writing. And I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, a good creator. His name is Bob Sally. Writes a couple books for Source Point as well. Yeah. And he was like, man, you just got to bring it down. He's like, you're always on this big fantasy thing. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He was like, you should just do he was like, you love magic, right? He was like, just do a story about an illusionist. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. So I started thinking about how I would do it. And of course, as you could tell, I didn't stay very grounded, but on its top layer, it's a dark fantasy. I'm not breaking the wheel. I'm bringing a human being into a fantasy world. You've seen that before, but really on the other layers, on the bottom layers, it's a character study. Adia Locke is broken. She's broken. She doesn't know how to treat people. She's forgotten what real love feels like. She's forgotten what it feels like to really need somebody, and really rely on people. And not be hurt. So when she gets pulled into Sarai and told that she's some great big hope, she doesn't see it in herself. So she's got these inner demons that she needs to work through so that she can eventually be the person that the siren, which is like the embodiment of knowledge and power of this world of Sarai. Again, we go into issue 2 and there's like this whole flashback thing about it. But yeah, basically she's basically earning this power, so to speak. There's no prophecy. She's not meant to be. The power kind of sought her out, and there's a reason why, and she'll eventually come to that realization. But again, yeah, it came from a place of pain, a place of darkness, and I just needed to put it out on paper. And Adia Locke just came to me, man. Like her name, everything came to me. Like it was just like this one thought, and I kind of just saw the whole vision. And I got to work, and I was fortunate enough to find Andrea Errico. He's out of Italy. PH Gomez out of Brazil, who does my colors. Dave Lentz, who is a monster with letters. My book wouldn't be anywhere near as good if it wasn't for this whole team. But yeah, I'm just glad that people are resonating with it. I was really afraid of, first and foremost, obviously, a guy writing a lead female. I didn't know how people were gonna react to that. But I didn't, so I just kept going with that. And yeah, I'm about to launch book 4 and 5. Issue 1 drops in stores June 15th. And yeah, I'm nervous as shit.
It's pre-orderable right now, so you can pre-order it from Diamond. It's coming out from Behemoth. Behemoth has a great mind for talent, and this is a really good fit for them too. I feel like I really dig how you're talking about how you're addressing vulnerability. Also how you're portraying your female protagonist, which is so already you're a man writing a female protagonist, which is already tricky, and there's already so many things to think about. But then also like her brashness, her intensity. There's so many elements in this main character that spiral us through the narrative that you're doing so well. Like for real, man. Like it's
Thank you.
the way that you describe being vulnerable while building a character that doesn't feel vulnerable, right? And your audience is in on it. You give us enough information, we know there's a softness there behind that candy coated exterior, right? Like we're going to get to that. We know that, but there's so many elements that you're toying with organically that the plot and structure fills us in as we read this first. This all happens in fucking less than 30 pages, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this first issue's so good, and I'm so excited to see more of it, and I'm so excited to see the fantasy realm that we come across, and just like, you know, I'm excited about the big bad, the big magic, but I'm also excited about the big emotions. Like, it's a very emotional piece, and as you talked about, like, where this all stems from, that's so justified. But like, man, it's so good, dude. Like, it's
Thank you.
like I'm supposed to be like this like hot shit comic reviewer, right? And I'm always like, the art's pretty and it's really good. It made me feel things in my stomach and it felt warm. But like, it did, dude. It made me feel things in my gut. It made me feel warm, and it made me excited for more. Like, when I finished that first issue, I was bummed. I was like, hey, dude, like, I need more. Like, you know, like, and that's good. That, like, I want more, and I'm so excited that you have a publisher behind you that's going to help you push this, because I feel like you are dumping a ton of emotion into the script, into the narrative, into the plot, and anything that Behemoth can do to kind of like help secure, like, don't waste any emotion. Like, put all of that into the plot and use Behemoth for everything that they're worth, and like, let them stress about shit while you just tell the story. Like, I feel like that's going to make this comic book better. But also, I'm also really glad that you came on my show to help promote your comic, because I'm stoked to talk about it. But yeah, man, it's cool, dude. It's
Nah, man, I appreciate again you having me, and working with Behemoth has been amazing. Nathan, Ryan, Kevin, the whole team over at Behemoth, Eric, everybody there is just doing an amazing job. They just were acquired. They're doing so many big things, and I can't even wrap my head around the fact that I'm lucky enough to be a part of all of it. I was fortunate enough to where they shot me a ticket for New York Comic Con last October, and I flew out there and got to meet the team, live and direct. And from the moment I saw their booth, I knew I was at the right place.
Nice,
and just hanging out with them, and them really just reinforcing the fact that I was going to come in and be that first fantasy book, in their lineup, and that I was gonna, really fill a need that they had, and not only doing that, but doing it with a story that they all kind of could get behind. It just, it didn't boost the ego, but it just made things a whole lot easier in terms of just coming in and sitting down and writing. So yeah, it's been crazy. I actually just finished writing the last script a couple days ago and turned it into Andrea, and he read it, and he just read 4 and 5, and he was like, it's funny because he's Italian, so his English is a little broken, and he sends me a voice message, and he's like, Ruben, I will need to take a few days because this is heavy topics. And I'm like,
shit.
And I'm like, yeah, I know, man, I know. And he's like, I want to get the art right. He's like, and he just sent me all of the layouts for issue 4. Issue 4 is this whole dive into Adia's psyche, and the whole issue takes place inside of her brain, and it's this whole weird, trippy, kind of ride. And he just turned in the layouts for that, and he's just blowing it away. So I cannot wait to share that issue.
We're looking at 6 issues, 5 or 6 issues?
5 issues. 5 issues. Issue 5 is going to be 30. It's going to be a 36-page issue. It ends in issue 5. Sarai is a really big place. That's all I'll say about that. But yeah, I mean, there's this Adia's story has a beginning, middle, and end. There's a potential there for other things, but other than that, Sarai is, I've built this kind of fantasy world that kind of intrigues me now, that was purposeful, that fit a purpose for this story, but now can maybe fit a purpose for a bunch of other stories. So we'll see.
Cool, man. I just really dig everything that happened. Like, so much happens in the first. I'm so excited for people to read this in June. Other people maybe back the Kickstarter before, but like for people that are new here and new to Ruben's writing, and like put this on your fucking pull list. Pre-order this from your comic shop. It's so good. It's so wonderful. There's a really amazing retailer incentive variant too, like that I really want. Like if you're a variant chaser, like there's things for everybody. There's emotion. There's pretty. There's not even pretty. Fucking gorgeous art. Great covers. Great.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that cover that you brought up, that's Chris Campana. He's done Red Sonja. He's done a few other things. He's also an indie creator. He's got a really great book that also packs a ton of emotion. I'm really fortunate, man. Like I got some great covers for this issue. Got some really great covers for the whole series. Really, I've been blessed. This whole situation has been, I think, like you said, you put out energy in the world, and kind of that comes back to you. And even though this came from such a dark place, I've been able to get so much positivity out of it, so much great emotion out of it. And I think that people have just connected on that level, whether they, resonate with the story or they can relate. I don't know, but at the end of the day, they know that there's heart and there's a real human, element to it that you don't find in fantasy. You know what I'm saying? In terms of that. So I think that's why people like it. So.
Yeah. And just as it's a good reminder that running away is easy sometimes, but it doesn't pay off. And sometimes you just got to like plant your feet and deal with the bullshit. And I 100%. Think that you're taking that in a really intense direction in the fantasy genre, and like adding so many layers to that. But you also have like a really good lesson where it's just like, you have a life and you can always run, right? And it's easy in the moment, but you can't run forever. And I love that. I love that about Illusion Witch. And I did not expect that. Like when I saw the art and there's like beautiful women and beautiful art and everybody's like very attractive and there's magic and stuff, I just was not expecting the like real hard hitting feels. So like, way to just like sweep me off my fucking feet, dude. You did it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So we're going to go, we started with Ruben. Now we're going backwards. So we're going to go to Sean, who I don't know if you guys knew about this yet, but Sean's first interview. And so I'm going to pull up his, let's see, I'm going to pull up his, what's it called? The synopsis? What's in previews? The summary? The synopsis? Yeah. All right. Here we go. All right. You guys ready? I'm going to put my fancy voice on. The year is 1955 in the small town of Sugar Grove, where their idea of crime is when a teenager shoplifts a pop from the corner store. So, the town is left reeling when a mass grave is discovered in the woods, unearthing the body of a resident long since forgotten. Lily Hill was a young girl when she vanished without a trace over 20 years ago, leaving a dark cloud looming over the town ever since. It's up to Detective David Herring to pick up the case right where it left off. Although this is one a tad bit personal, he was friends with Lily in high school. In fact, all the suspects are former classmates as well. Could it be Arthur the doctor, John the mechanic, Lewis the radio personality, or Evelyn the author? It's probably Evelyn because writers are fucked up. Sorry. I just threw myself for a loop and discombobulated myself. Shit. All right. Or Evelyn the author. Will the four reunited friends be able to keep their story straight after so much time has passed? Do they still feel loyal to one another? Will Dave and his partner be able to get to the bottom of it? And most importantly, will they like the answers once they are uncovered? There is such a massive cast in this comic. There's so much going on. Nothing feels cluttered. Nothing feels too much. I'm very excited about all the characters we get. You know what I'm not excited about is that like it's hard. It's because your story's so good. It's hard to get 6 pages at once. I get it, and then I'm like, shit, fuck, what? I need it. Where? How do I get more? And that's my only issue with your awesome fucking comic, sir. Like what is that? as a writer, as an artist, as someone who's structuring this story, like, is that tough for you to deal with as well? These breaks, these weird pauses.
Honestly, yeah. So when I initially wrote Uncovered Grave, it was planned as just like 4 straight issues, like no 6-page breaks or anything. And when Marcus at Dauntless like pitched me this idea of doing serials, um, I had to rework the entire script and kind of like build in like 6-page breaks into everything. Um, and there's certain scenes throughout the comic where it's just like I wish I had an extra page here to finish off like this scene or give like a little bit of an emotional beat. So it was definitely a fun challenge, like going into it, uh, and it gives me time, drawing everything and getting to know these characters as I draw everything out. So it's a lot of fun.
This art, man, like, I cannot believe this is your first fucking comic. It's so pretty. It's so
Yeah,
pretty. It's so well written. It seems to be structured well. Whatever headaches, heartaches you're dealing with in these short releases, are you're handling perfectly. Like, it's good. Like, it's like I said. Like, my only gripe is that I just want more. Which is it's a good gripe, right? That's what you want.
yeah, I know.
But
I try to make it so like right when you get the itch for the next chapter, that's when the next chapter comes out.
and it's every week, right?
Yeah, every week,
So
6 pages every
six
week.
pages a week, and so if we look, all right. So you can do $13 and it's all digital. You get every deal unlocked. You can do the $20 trade when everything's done, or then you could pay 30, and you can read it while it's happening and get the trade once it's released. So we're looking at, so it's going to be over 100 pages. So, like, how many weekly issues are we doing here?
So it in total, it's running for 16 weeks. Chapter 6 comes out this week, so we got 10 more weeks going on. And what I try to do with every chapter that comes out, I try to add in like bonus content, like a little sneak peek at like what my process is like, a peek at what my scripts are like, how I do my covers and like my pencils and my coloring process, concept art, stuff like that. I try to give readers a little like afterword as well, let them know like how important they are to me, because I truly think with comics that the medium includes the readers in the like creation process, and for me the process isn't done until it's in somebody's hand and like somebody's turning that page or like scrolling down in that email. So I try to make it as real and honest for everybody so they can see exactly what it's like.
How dare you, dude? You're on another level. Like, this is new. You have a great story. You have great characters. You have great writing. I love your art. Your
Thank
art's
you so
real
much.
solid.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you say smart things. Like, this is you do not feel like this is my first comic, this is my first interview guy. You are putting out vibes where you're like, listen, boyos, I've been here for a fucking minute. I'm here to tell my fucking stories, and I'm here to take the game. And you're doing it. Like, you're doing it. Like, it's rad. I do wonder, because you've said a few things while you've been talking that is more tactile, right? You talk about people holding things in their hands. You talk about people turning pages, but your comic is being released in a odd way through Dauntless digitally first. Do you like that?
Yeah. So comics for me, like the first time I ever read a comic, it was tactile. I'm a traditional artist, so everything that I do is like physical. So it's definitely been like a change in thought process. But when we originally thought of doing serials, we were going to have like this company, the startup, was going to animate the pages for us. So every time you saw a page, it was going to look like you flipped over to the next one, even digitally. Unfortunately, that company went under, but for me, it's all about just like learning that digital is just as important to the comics industry as like the traditional like mom and pop comic shops, like the brick and mortar shops, and learning just how awesome digital can be for comics.
That's cool. I like digital. I also like spend so much money on like hardcovers and stuff because I love hardcovers. I love holding things, but like also like the way I do stuff, I get so many digital comics, right? Like a lot of my stuff is digital. I get review copies and things, and I don't hate it. I actually think, you know what? I actually think for horror comics, I think digital is like better because you can read it on your tablet with the lights out. And also with like smart view or panel by panel, the guided view, it almost lets you get a horror jump scare when you can go panel by panel and not have the other part, because your eyes travel, right? Like if you're reading a book, you're gonna sweep the page when you turn it, right? And you're gonna like see the images before you read the dialogue, and so you're essentially gonna spoil things for yourself just as a natural reader. And with horror comics in digital formats, it you can belay that, right? You can alter that, you can change that a little bit, which is really exciting. But yeah, it's I love digital, and I just love comics. Like just fucking like put a funnel in my mouth and like dump them in there, whether it's digital or physical, or like throw an omnibus in a blender and pour some like water in there and blend it up and I'll drink it. Like I'm fine with it. But it's interesting. I just was wondering because you mentioned, so when you were describing your comic, you mentioned a lot of physical aspects, and it was interesting hearing that when you're initially releasing digitally. I was wondering.
Yeah, like for me, when I design everything, I'm designing it for the printing press, like how it comes out, like through just traditional means. So one thing, like going into designing each page for this book and my thumbnail process is I design my page for the readers to like, on the bottom right hand corner, I want your eye to naturally want to go up to that next top left hand corner so that your eye naturally wants to keep on reading the book. But with that infinite scroll that we've got going on with Uncovered Grave, it's got me rethinking how I design my pages and the best way for readers to read my stories and whatnot. So it changes my composition.
It's interesting as a reviewer to get like a fucking like giant scroll JPEG. And I was like, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I kept tapping right in my e-reader. I kept like tapping to hit the page, and you can't do that. You have to scroll. And I think it's awesome. Like, like scrolls are important, right? Like, if you're into like faith and Jesus and all that shit, like, like that's all that happened, right? It was all on a scroll. Like we just had like these really long narratives about life and how we should do things. And so, yeah, let's bring it back. Let's get weird. But no, dude, you're where you need to be. I'm so glad Dauntless, whether you found Dauntless or Dauntless found you, they are risk takers. They have really strong senses of narratives, and they know how to tell, they know what good stories are, and they're bringing in talent that can make that happen. And I'm so excited that like you're a part of that. And again, as a person who like wants to write and make comics as well, I don't like you. Like I want to like you, but you're just a little too good. And like, I'm totally fucking with you, but like you got the chops, man. Like you're doing it. You're making it happen. You have this really cool story. You're putting it out in a really cool way. And it's just, I feel like these other guys here, well, maybe not Renton, because he also Renton. We're about to segue into this, but like you guys are putting out comics very similarly, and you're almost doing everything yourself, and you're dropping them in small snippets. You're going through Dauntless. Renton is going through Substack, and anyways, I just think it's really cool. And it's a new way of storytelling that I'm not used to. And I appreciate like getting jostled, right? Like get me out of my comfort zone, like make me experience this story in a different way that I'm not entirely used to. Make me hungry for it, right? Like instead of waiting month to month, I'm waiting week to week, and we're getting smaller snippets, right? But it's, you still have that like that feeding frenzy, right? Like I'm hungry for it and I need it.
Yeah.
And you're
I like that bingeable quality of it.
yeah, I am interested, and it's also just part of it's your story, because it's a mystery. It's a dark detective narrative. There's a murder. There's all this intrigue. There's so many suspects. Like I'm definitely interested in like binging it and like kind of figuring out how the best way to experience your story is. Like the snippets are good, and I keep coming, and obviously like, and I think other people are, because you're getting subscribers, right? Like this is selling, and and I feel like Dauntless is happy with it. But I do find it interesting their tactic of like, you can buy it this way, or you can buy it the final way, or you can buy it both ways. Are you privy to pre-orders here? Like, are most people buying like the $30, I want both, I want to read it now and get it printed later? Or
So last time I checked, the majority of sales are the hybrid method, so getting both the digital format and the book. But going into it, I wanted to make fans of digital only and physical only happy, so I wanted to make sure there was an option there for every type of comic fan.
nice.
Because I know a lot of people read only digital comics. Some people only read physical copies. Like, I want to make everybody happy. And when I'm drawing my story, like when I'm drawing this comic, I'm also drawing it for the reread, because I know that there are people who are getting it week to week and will eventually be getting another one, like when the physical copy comes out. So I have like little Easter eggs and little clues baked throughout the entire comic, that when you get to that ending, like you can start analyzing all the backgrounds of my pages and start to piece together all the tiny little clues that were always there throughout the issue, like throughout all 4 issues of the book.
You do have I do like your detailed backgrounds, by the way. Your art's very detailed. Like I dig that. I like it when things are detailed and busy but don't distract you from the narrative. I feel like that is, as a creator, that's a tricky line to follow, and I think you're walking that well. So just again, like, you're just doing everything great, and you're just fucking awesome. And Sean, I'm just so glad you came on my show to talk about this really great comic, which is it's fun and it's creepy and it's weird and it's one last question before we move on. What made you the time period? Like what made you want to pick this time period?
Honestly, the technology of it all. I think there's a lot of, when you're making a murder mystery, there's so much more that you can explore without there being technology there. Like, obviously, if it's set in modern day, you have like DNA, you got fingerprints.
Yeah.
You have modern day psychology that you can also play with. And in a lot of ways, it makes, at least for me, it made writing this story harder. So I wanted to throw it back to like classic noir period, back when certain terms weren't necessarily discovered yet. The technology wasn't really there, and it was kind of just 2 people sitting in a room talking things out and trying to get to the bottom of something. And as we're moving into issue 2, like, I really wanted to play with that idea of it's just 2 people sitting in a room, like all of that good, like gritty lighting. All my pages right now are dripping in black ink, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But the time period straight up just came down to, I didn't want to have to deal with DNA or anything like that.
Or everyone having a cell phone.
Yeah,
like, I love horror throwbacks, because it's like, how fucked is any narrative, like these iconic horror films that we've all grown up with, right? And if people had a cell phone in them, and it's like, what? The story's done. Like, if you had a cell phone, this wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah, and a huge part of my story is the fact that these 4 suspects haven't seen or heard or talked to each other in 20 years. And if we all had cell phones, if we had Facebook and Twitter and
I was
Instagram,
about to say Facebook, right?
like these people would most likely all be on Facebook and be Facebook friends with one another.
And they would have a group chat of like the girl we murdered 8 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I didn't want there to be, I wanted this story to be about the prisoner's dilemma. I don't know if you know about like that, but it's, you sit two people in two different rooms and you tell person A that person B is ratting on them. But if you talk to me now, like we can work something out. But you got to give me some details on what person B did, because right now, all I have to do is talk to them and I got you dead to rights. So I wanted to play with why are they still loyal to each other after 20 years?
And that's also one of the things I'm most excited about, which you are doing really well. I love a good interrogation scene anyway, right? Like it just gets me fucking hyped. Like I just love those. And I'm very intrigued in this group of people and how they relate to this murder victim. And again, like it's so easy to spoil a secret or to rat out a friend or, you know, like all I do is talk, guys. I have a big fucking mouth. Like it's very hard for me to keep my mouth shut sometimes. And so this element in Sean's narrative of like how after all these years and why are they sticking together and do they still have each other's backs? And what does that say about the victim? Is the victim a victim? There's so much shit. I'm just so excited to like experience your narrative as it continues to release. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you, man. And again, like, this is your first comic. This is like, have you published short stories or anything before?
I have a short story in Crackle Volume 3. I just drew and colored that. And I also have a story in Off Into the Sunset.
Nice.
I did the art on that as well. But I haven't actually had anything come out that I've written. So this is the first foray into like professional comic book writing for me.
Well, dude, I don't know a lot about a lot, but I know a little about a little. I feel like you're on the right track. That makes any sense?
So
that makes no fucking sense. Don't thank me. That made jack shit sense.
No, I knew exactly.
I'm excited for your future in comic books. So like you're anchoring your feet. You're digging your heels in, and you're like, try and drag me away, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
but you got the goods to back it up. So like, congratulations on your first comic, your first interview, your first experimental storytelling release. Like you're doing it, bud. Like you did it. And you weren't boring or weird on the live stream. Like we can't edit this. This is going out. Like you can't, if you say something weird, like there's nothing we can do, man. It's out there. And you're like, so even your fucking interview, you did well. Like what do you do wrong? What is your weakness? What are you a real person?
Time management is definitely my weakness, I gotta say. Like,
all right, well that's fair. All right, so you are human. That's good. All right, Renton. Next up, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
You don't just have a good mustache. You have a really fucking great webcomic. I don't
Appreciate
understand webcomics. I don't understand how I can just click the link, read this amazing Ronin adventure with a beautiful color palette, with beautiful art, with wonderful action scenes. I can just read this on my tablet. I don't have to pay anybody anything. I can subscribe to it, which I'm sure helps you somehow. But I didn't even notice when I was reading it. I didn't notice like a lot of ads or anything either. Like how does this work? Why are you giving away the gold for free? Like what happens here? Tell me. Like it's so good.
It kind of cracked.
So good.
It cracked me up that the other day you were so kind as to retweet it and say some pretty nice things about it. And one of those things was, I can't believe I can read this for free. And I think that my reply to you was like, I could charge for this. Like it just kind of was something that totally occurred to me. Yeah, no, there's no ads or anything like that. I don't really have, I'll take the opportunity to be the boring one. Unfortunately, on the live stream, I don't really have a good answer. I guess I just I wanted to make it. I made it. I wanted people to see it. I put it on a forum where I thought people would see it. If people like it, that's great.
You had started. It looked like you started on Webtoons and then you pulled it and put it on Substack, right?
Yeah. So I was trying to do I was trying to do basically what Sean is successfully doing, but unsuccessfully, where I was trying to do like a vertical, because Webtoon seemed like that's where the future of comics was going. I was kind of intrigued by the infinite scroll thing, but I wanted to do a thing where I sort of hedge my bets a little bit, and I designed a comic that could be read vertically, but I was really drawing it on like traditional size pages. So, everything Sean was saying about like making sure the eye bounces around the page, that's all, that was sort of the hurdle I couldn't get over, right? Because if it's infinite scroll, the eye has to keep going down.
Mm.
If it's on a page, it has to go, any number of ways, right? So I kind of wanted to have my cake and eat it too, do traditional pages just in case I ever wanted to run a Kickstarter or print it or something like that. But also try to design in such a way that it could get away with the vertical. And, ultimately, I think I pulled it off more than not, but I kind of pulled the plug part way just because it added so much overhead to the process, because I would have to do the traditional pages. I do everything myself. I do, the drawing, the writing, inking, coloring, lettering, everything.
God, how dare you. It's so good.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm always very worried that the seams are showing, but but then if you're doing Webtoon too, there's the added step of you need to convert the traditional pages to that vertical format. And Webtoon is really tricky because it has really, really restrictive format requirements. So I would spend like an entire Saturday converting just like 10 pages into an infinite scroll. Had to shrink things down, reorganize things. Sometimes the images lost quality a little bit. And I just kind of one Saturday was like, what the hell am I doing? And I couldn't really keep up with my production schedule. So pulled out. Right around that time is when Substack kind of came on the scene, and I was like, all right, I'm going to put my head down for a few months. I'm going to build up a bunch of pages, and I'm just going to redo the whole thing via Substack. And here we are.
Here we fucking are. All right. Well, I'm gonna do my serious voice here. I'm gonna read your little solicit guy that I pieced together.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Sorry, I love that you're all just here for me to let you down. Like that's my favorite part of Blake's Buzz is like you guys just are like, cool. Like I hope someone sees this because this guy just won't shut his fucking mouth. All right. So. Ronin Digital Express takes place hundreds of years into our future, long after an unspecified cataclysm ended society as we know it. The story occurs on a continent of Shiji. All the remains of the old world are its massive brutalist city structures, shielded, walled off, and abandoned. The people of Shaji are superstitious and fearful of the ruins of the old world. They live in smaller walled cities and towns that are largely independent and decentralized. However, an ersatz faraway empire supposedly overseen the Shaji does exist, and the rule of law is loosely enforced by a paramilitary group called the Sink. The story focuses on an existentially burdened Ronin and his adventures as he searches for his purpose in life. Can we get heavier? Can we get more intense? No, we can't, ladies and gentlemen. Because this is the digital Ronin for the digital age, for a time when money is invisible and it's made to be in an app and you can fucking put it on a USB card, and that doesn't make any fucking sense. Or you can fucking make an NFT and you could spend $1 million fucking on a stupid fucking JPEG and then brag about it online. I don't know what any of this means. But I know I love this fucking digital comic so much. Like, let me, like, my ranting can only do so much, guys. Here's what we gotta do. I just gotta show you guys this art. Look at this fucking art. This is where our nameless badass Ronin fights a fucking robot. And just, it's right before this, it's funny because there's like a hacker and he's trying to help him and he like spoil. It's very much like a Metal Gear Solid-esque when you set the alarm off and you're like, what am I going to do now? That's the vibe I got. But this art, man, I just can't believe you do this. Oh wait, we got to go to the next episode. I didn't cue this up right. I'm sorry. But no, look at these action sequences. Like, this is beautiful. I love this palette. It's so bright and vibrant. I love the green eyes. Like, what is wrong with you? How do you do this all by yourself? Like, look at the sword. Like, this is like almost 3D imagery. Like, the sword is popping out and he just throws it. Like, I'm so impressed. I was absolutely like show-stopped, ridiculously impressed. Please look at that link that we have posted on the bottom of the screen. Please click that link. Please go there. Just put your email in. Just put your email in and click subscribe and just fall into the depths of this wondrously the sci-fi Ronin futuristic Substack narrative. Like, it's so fucking cool. Like, if you guys don't do this, I'm gonna be mad at you. I'm gonna be real mad at you if you don't do this. I'm gonna cancel my fucking show if you guys don't go and look at this fucking Ronin comic. I'm done. Like, I'm just done. Like, I can't. I'm giving you guys the goods, and you just need to click the fucking links and look at it. What? How? What, how, what, where, why, what, dude, like, fill us in. Like, you're a machine. I don't understand this.
Where do you want me to start? I mean, I guess, how do I do it? I'm really, really behind on Bridgerton. I haven't seen a TV show in quite some time. I'm past my bedtime now. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning to draw. And, I just, every waking minute I get. So that's how, I guess.
Okay, so but for real, like, help me understand webcomics. Like, what helps you? Like, obviously, if you get Substack subscriptions, that helps, right? Like, are you doing paid tiers for Substack too, or are you just there? Like, are you just like, I'm like listen to me tell my story?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I'm doing it for its own sake, really. I don't really have a master plan here. I've batted around some ideas, like maybe collecting volumes and trying to run Kickstarters and that kind of thing. Not really so much as like here's the career path, but kind of like, well, maybe I would try that at some point and see if it works out, if people are into it. But I guess if I looked at myself 10 years from now or something, and I had, a web comic that people knew about it and enjoyed, and I had, 1,000 pages behind me, I would be happy with that.
I just want to let you know, if you did a Kickstarter, I'd back it.
Remember that.
You got one back.
I'll come back on the show and I'll just kind of sit silently while you intimidate your audience into buying it.
Yeah, I'll be like, listen, motherfuckers, I can't tell you enough. No, it's so good, man, and it again, like,
I'll pledge, Blake, I promise.
Yeah, like, oh please, like, I would love that if I could make my listeners cry, not just cry, but like also like cry and spend their own money. Like, I'm sorry, like I bought the commission tier. I spent $150.
As long as you get the money in the end.
Like it's all about the money, baby. But again, like, that's where I get lost on web comics is I don't understand. I just don't understand how they work. And there is so much talent here, man. Like, it's so good. It's so easy to read. Again, like, I feel like martial arts action sequences are real hit and miss in comics, right? Like, both comics and manga. Like, it's just like, you either got it or you don't. And you got it. Like, you fucking got it, dude. And like, when I feel stupid for like not reading your comic when you initially sent me an email, and then like months later I'm like, oh fuck, that was really good, and then I have to be like, man, I'm about to be that asshole and be like, hey Renton, you want to come on my show next week? And like, I should have asked this dude this like 2 months ago when he emailed me,
I completely appreciate you taking a look, and I really appreciate you having me on. So you're being. I remember who said it in the comments, but we all have to be a little bit easier on ourselves, and I think that applies for our humble host as well.
That's true. Yeah, I guess maybe that's well. I'll take it. I'll take it. But I'm just so like. I would love to get this. I love reading it on my tablet, especially your color palette really pops on a digital screen. That's one of the reasons I do love digital comics is because colors fucking hit, man. Like those OLED screens or whatever kind of screen you have, like the colors pop differently than when you read it. And when you read a bunch of digital comics and then like pop open like an old omnibus, sometimes it's like, man, these colors are like bland as fuck. And it's like, but you got to kind of like go back and forth and remember what you're dealing with. But your color palette is so wonderful digitally. Like it hits, it hits, it sizzles, and it feels good. Like
it's a compliment that I get quite a bit, and it always shocks me and also kind of encourages me because coloring is actually the thing that I think I'm the most sensitive about. It's definitely the last thing I like. When I sat down to try to actually learn how to make comics, like I figured that learning perspective and scale and depth and anatomy, that would be probably the heaviest lift. And then inking, that's easy. That's just drawing over your pencils. Spoiler alert, I was wrong about that. And then, I thought coloring was a similar thing. I was like, and then you just put colors on it. No, big fucking deal, right? It's not going to be that hard. And that just, I think the amount of time I spent practicing coloring is about as much time as I spent. I will never talk shit about colorists ever again in my entire life. Like it is really an extraordinarily hard part of the process. So whenever someone says, I'm really vibing on the colors, I'm like, can I give you a hug? Like that's just the nicest thing because holy shit, that's the hardest part. So to really get it right. And it takes, as far as like the process goes, I don't know about everybody else, but I mean, for me at least, I don't like doing it. Like it's probably one of my least favorite parts of it, but it takes as long as any other step, if not longer. I mean, I'll spend weeks just coloring comics and I'm like, there's not really a lot of joy in it. So, the joy I guess comes when people say they really enjoy it. Cause then I'm like, oh, okay, well then all that work actually went somewhere.
Are you a digital artist?
Yep. Primarily digital. I have to be. I know there's a trade-off there. You lose the opportunity to hold art and, sell art at some point. But primarily digital, just strictly just because of the workflow thing. It just saves you so much time.
What is your end game here? Like what's the length that you're going to carry this Ronin narrative out? Like, cause, and also like, tell us what you really feel about digital currency. I feel like you've got a pretty solid commentary on digital currency and all this weirdness. Like you definitely.
I don't know if I want to lick that frozen pole, to be honest with you. That seems to be kind of a hot button in the comic space, particularly. I don't want to sick a Twitter mob on me. No, I'll be honest about perceptions on digital currency. I don't really have any feeling about it. Honestly, I don't own any. I think that as far as like a technology goes, it seems like it's cool technology. People who are critical about it for the energy consumption stuff, I think those are valid criticisms. I'm just kind of in an agnostic wait and see mode with it. I'm not really a crypto bro. Like I said, fairly agnostic, but that said, I thought it was a cool thing to put into a comic book. So, my use of it in a comic within the world of Ronin Digital Express is really just more like, oh, that's a cool thing from real life. I'm going to put it in my comic and I'm going to use it, do something a little bit different there. It's not really an endorsement. So, those are my feelings on that. And I can't remember what the other question was. Was it Endgame with Ronin?
Yeah. Like what length.
Yeah,
length,
well, this is
length and girth and where sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
how long are you planning on carrying this out? Like, or do you know? Or are you just gonna keep going till like it feels stale and then you do something else?
Well, so Ronin kind of spun off of I had kind of, I've had a bunch of ideas for like, 5-issue miniseries type projects. I think everybody, has sort of a library of those loose ideas. And I just kind of one day was like, well, what if somebody actually offered me like, 50 issues or something like that? Like, what would your epic be? Like, what's your, Walking Dead or what's your Preacher or whatever? So I tried to think around what kind of world I could spend a lot of time in. And I wrote, 3 issues or so that would be sort of like the number one, and then, set the first arc in motion. And this was kind of back when I was still just doing writing. And I kind of put it on the shelf for a little while and wanted to take some time to learn how to draw. And then when it came around to, well, what kind of comic can I make as sort of like my first foray into actually making comics, I kind of came back to Ronin, and I was like, well, I'd like to do Ronin, like the long version that I would like to do, but I kind of feel like I want to do like a prototype first. So the version that we have right now is like a prototype. Like it's like the, it's fairly self-contained. It's a Western, draws a lot on the sort of man with no name, Clint Eastwood kind of tropes of a Western, but obviously in this far-flung, future that it's somewhat digital, somewhat analog, smacks of, 90s anime and stuff like that. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to kind of have a loose continuity, open-ended prologue, I guess, to the whole thing. And then if I got to the end of it and I felt like, hey, I really love these characters and I love this world, and I feel like I have the stamina for this, then maybe I'll keep it going and I'll push it to the very end. And there's a lot of risks involved in that. I think that I talked about Walking Dead earlier. There's always the whole thing where I think that Kirkman initially was running around bragging that he could write 300 issues of it, and then he got around to 180, and he was like, I think I'm done, and then he had to wrap it up because eventually, you just kind of, I'm not throwing shade at him, eventually you just kind of want to do other stuff, right? You feel like you've been there too long, you kind of lost your creative interest in it, and then you have to try to tie it up real quick. So that's a risk. Like you really have to know that you're in it until the bitter end. And then, there's the berserk risk where you die and, you leave it undone forever. So, there's risks to committing to something that long. So yeah, I really kind of wanted to just give it a shot. And then if I felt, all right, I'm satisfied with this world, I'm done. I would have a complete product, I'd have a text. But then if I felt like, hey, there's more I could do with this, then I would pursue the longer term plan. And yeah, to be honest with you, I haven't made up my mind yet. But that's kind of what's before us. I might move on to other stuff. I might stick with it. I might try to do both. I don't know yet.
I like how you're sort of humble, but you compare yourself to Kirkman and Kentaro Miura.
No. I'm not comparing myself. I'm just learning. I'm laying at the feet of the masters and I'm learning lessons so that I don't repeat their mistakes.
It's good. It's what it would like regard. Like I meant that as a joke, but like honestly, like I think like whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Like
the best compliment I got was on Reddit. I had a guy tell me that my art reminded him of Mobius, but then right after that he was like, the story. But then after that he was like, the story is shit. You really need to hire a writer for that.
No, I don't think that.
No, I was laughing. I thought it was you go to Reddit for honesty, right? So it cracked me up. It was great.
The internet is always a wonderful place where you can just feel great about yourself. Like,
yeah, right. Unfortunately, not everybody's like me, and I'm just like telling everybody how wonderful they are. But like, I couldn't imagine that. Oh my God, like the bad day that I would have to have where I was like, yeah, your art's good, but like your story fucking sucks. Like for me to tell, like I could never say that to anybody.
Or at least not in that at least not in that fashion. Not in that fashion. You
people with bad days go to Reddit. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that Renton and Emmanuel, you guys should check out each other's stuff because it is very you guys have similar vibes. your art style's slightly similar as well, and you're both really talented, and you both undertake the whole creation deal yourself. And I just your both of your stories like really impress me and deal with a futuristic hopelessness that is different, and also like reminds us of what's happening right now in our day to day. And so anyways, I hope both of you guys can like connect on if there's anything like Blake's Buzz can do. Like I don't know, both of you guys have like really smart shit going on, and you're both really great artists with really smart narratives. And fuck that Reddit guy, like send him to me, I'll fucking set him straight.
It's fine. It comes with it. Well, Emmanuel, if you're still listening, I just followed you on Twitter. So,
boom. No, his Tales from the Interface is really awesome, and also just like a very different like futuristic take. Just like your Ronin is like it's very cinematic and similar to manga, except like your it's fully colored, and your action sequences are great. I love the weirdness of like the digital currency and how that's like changed this new world. And also like the fact how like in our own everydayness, like we are pushed into like advancing ourselves, right? Advancing technology, advancing everything, advancing the way that we do everything, and like change it and make it easier. And this whole deal in this Ronin narrative is he goes and collects these like old world not digital, like archaic like little snippets of old society, and then he sells them for all this money that is through various like digital currencies. And I don't know, it's really cool, and it's really smart, and it's fucking beautiful, dude. Like I
appreciate that.
Like, you better. I'm just saying, like I don't like coddle egos because I'm bored. Like it just is awesome. Like I'm sorry, I'm being an asshole, but like it's a really great web comic. And if there was ever a chance where I could be part of a Kickstarter campaign or something and back like a printed edition of it, I would do it, because I feel like it would look great in your hands, like actually being able to turn the pages and stuff. Like you got something cool, man.
I appreciate that.
And it's crazy. You just wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and crank the shit out.
Well, I earn my sunrise, I guess. I've heard I've heard said before. Yeah, no, the Kickstarter thing would be interesting. I think my issue with that is like it would really need to be like a product, right? Like it would need to be something that like people would be proud to just kind of like leave on their coffee table, like in terms of like the quality of the binding, and maybe I know Ronald Wimberly has like a Kickstarter going on right now for kind of a fairly similar comic to Ronin, and I mean if you can find that, I mean it's like the book comes in like a sarcophagus, like it's
the scroll, the giant scroll deal.
Yeah, it's like a whole, just Ronald Wimberly, go find his Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Obviously he's been influential on me. He's got the great Prince of Cats comic, but yeah, I mean it's just, and then the Eminence did one recently for their Instagram comic that is just like a beautiful, if I can find it I'll maybe bring it up a little bit later, but it would really have to be something that's like, and then the risk there of course is like the price tag would have to be pretty high for that, and then the other risk on top of that, back to kind of the hooking up with Emmanuel, and I'm always interested in finding other people who are doing it just completely on their own, because I think that the two sides of the comics industry is you're either in it and you're collaborating, which the pros and cons for that are the cons are it can be really difficult to project manage something all the way through to the end, but the pros are you have like a team, and you have a bunch of different people who have a bunch of different audiences that are promoting. You can send it out in a lot of different directions. Whereas like if you're doing it on your own, the pro to that is, the only ego you're fighting with is your own. You don't really have to project anyone but yourself. So you can be a little bit more streamlined in actually creating a product. But when it comes to the promotion, it's your audience or bust. You kind of have to get out there and really try to show up on shows like these, try to get reviews. And that's a whole other full-time job. And you got to do it on your own. So I'm always interested in like meeting up with other people who are doing it like either all or mostly themselves, and just being like, man, like how went this route. Like, how did you do it? Like, how did you figure out a way to be successful here? Because that's a lot to do for one person.
Yeah, it's and like my heart and soul goes out to like you guys that do that, because it blows my mind. And just like, again, like, the art is wonderful. We showed like a snippet of it. You can subscribe on Substack. Like, you should totally do that. And like everybody, like, subscribe, fill his subscription list so that like he eventually drops this like a amazing Ronin, like, coffee table-esque book or something crazy on Kickstarter, because like I want to fucking buy it. Like, I want it. Like, I like reading it on my tablet, but like, you deserve a spot on my bookshelf, dude.
No matter what, I'll make one for you, and I'll sell it to you for 1 Bitcoin. How about that?
Done. That's it. Blake's Buzz made it. Like, I got my own custom comic.
Just one little old Bitcoin. That's all.
Just one little Bitcoin. All right, I'm just gonna hop in. I'm gonna hop into the solicit for this next one, and we're gonna hit the ground running. You guys might figure it out real quick. Magic Powder is about a city called Thez, in a world conquered by elves in 2,200 years ago. Thez is the only big city on the planet that still exists outside of elvish law. The inhabitants are mostly dwarves, orcs, and goblins who don't fit into elvish society's confines and are instead more interested in the pioneering ways of the outlaw. The Magic Powder cartels provide fairy dust, which is illegal everywhere else in the world, to anyone willing to pay the price. Our story begins just as the peace between all of the cartels Our story begins just as the peace between all of the cartels comes crumbling down around them. This is the bad part about live shows, because when your host fucks up reading things, it just keeps going. But regardless of my inability to read the things that I typed up on the other screen myself, this is a really fucking dope comic, and we're going to talk about it now. Mr. Jeff of Magic Powder Land. What's going on? Your comic is so fucking dope, and I dig it. It's modern fantasy. It's like Heat and The Godfather, and fucking Tolkien fucking had a weird greasy ass orgy and just fucking laid the pipe down and went to town. Where did this idea come from, man? Like, it's so gnarly.
I mean, it came from basically, watching all those things and reading all those things you talked about, and also things like Fargo or, No Country for Old Men and stuff like that, or, anything from Cormac, like Blood Meridian. But like, the fact that like, there had just been all these cool crime stories that have been told already on this planet. So I was like, man, I should really just create my own world to try and tell my own crime stories, because I really wanted to do something, And I had grown up, with the Reservoir Dogs and, like you said, Heat. What else? A Bronx Tale was a big influence on me as a kid. I just kicked something. But yeah, so I don't know. It's right now, though, I would say the biggest thing that's influenced me was the show Gomorrah. I was telling you guys earlier. That really, I don't know. And I got lucky because I got an artist who's from Italy, and that show takes place in Italy. So a lot of this stuff, like, he brings to the backgrounds and everything like we're seeing right now. It's just, he lives it. So I got lucky, because the whole idea that came to me was like, as far as the fantasy meets current times aspect, was like, you're watching this show that takes place in almost like a project building that's built atop ancient Rome. You know what I mean? At one time, this was the greatest civilization of all time. And now it's just a little drug dealing spot for these guys who can't even afford, dinner for their family and stuff like that. So that's kind of where Thez came from. And just the idea that, like, here these guys are hustling in the middle of this town that, was once a great city or something like that, in a fantasy element. It's not, Rome like the reality was. There was an ancient Rome, but this is just a totally different take on that kind of thing. And then, I don't know. I don't know really what else to say about it other than, like you said, you kind of hyped it up perfectly already. I mean,
right here, though, like this scene of like a back gangster poker, like a poker scene, right? But with orcs and dwarves and like monsters that like are part of these fantasy narratives. Like, I love how you've combined all this so naturally and organically. Like, again,
even it was like, it's not even good. I got lucky and like because like you said, it's like almost like a dogs playing poker kind of thing I wanted to go for, even with the cover. But they're not playing poker so much as like they're playing almost like a TTRPG, you know, like some kind of Dungeons and Dragons like tabletop game, and they're gambling on that. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be even more ridiculous than like, you know, just a poker game. You know what I mean? So I took it to that level even a bit more. But yeah, and right here, like, so my plan was also to release more pages on the previews as people were, you know, backing. But then it got to the point where after this page, there's like 2 more pages. And I was like, I can't give away the next page because it's such a big spoiler, you know? And I was like, and then I was going to go to the page after that. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. You know what I mean? So I just, that was it. It just kind of ends right there with the hit Minotaur holding this giant minigun. You know, the character for even him, he's based on 2 things. He's based on, well, actually, I guess 3 things. He's based on, obviously, a Minotaur. But so also Leon the Professional. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
The glasses, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you know, and even like the beanie and stuff. And then also kind of like Desperado, like he's got a giant bass guitar or a bass, you know, a stand-up bass case instead of a guitar case with the gun pieces in it. So that's like those 2 things mixed together with him. So yeah, I don't know. That's like a way to basically put all my favorite things into a world of my own. I can play with it kind of, you know what I mean? Like being a little kid with toys. That was a big thing for me, I guess. And so yeah, just being able to tell story. Like even these people are based on certain people. Like the guy on the right's not so much based on someone, but the guy on the left, I was like, hey, can you make him look like Tony Siragusa, who's an old football player, you know? And I just thought it would be funny if he looked like an orc, you know what I mean? So my man Danielle made that happen, and I just got a kick out of him as an orc. And even the names of certain towns are named after, you know, just references. And I don't know. I'm just having a good time. There's even like a Disney reference in every issue I try to have in there in case anyone's paying attention, just stuff like that. But I'm not going to give it away, you know, but it's just how I keep it going. I don't know. It's hard to.
Danielle Aquilani?
Aquilani.
Aquilani. Okay, yeah. Your artist is nuts. Like
he's amazing.
So
yeah. I'm so lucky. And like, you know, like I said, I found him on a Reddit. We've never even spoken. Like we only speak through email really. You know, and payments, obviously, stuff like that. But yeah, he's the coolest. Like I just, you know, when we like, it's just amazing that he can take my script and like my little stick figure storyboards, or even like an email, just a sentence, and just take basically what I'm thinking and put it down. Almost even better. I mean, definitely better than I could ever do it. But like, you know, he makes it cooler than I could have imagined it ever being. You know what I mean? And he just pulls it, you know, out of thin air. Basically, I'm just so impressed by him. And then, like I said, we have a variant cover coming. My man Matt Harding is doing that. He's the first American artist I've worked with on actual, you know, on the comic. And, you know, he's been doing Twitch streams of himself, like working on it. So that's been fun to watch too, but he hasn't finished it yet. So I haven't been able to reveal that to everybody yet. I'm not, I thought we would get it done a little sooner. So I'm a little bummed about that as far as the Kickstarter goes. But a lot of people have still been backing, either the double physical edition where you get both, or just like even Matt's, like, you know, because he's got a bit of a little following himself. So that helps, but I can't wait to actually reveal that cover. I think it looks awesome. So then we'll have Sam's cover and Matt's.
Matt's actually a friend of the show. Him and Jared came on here for their.
All the doubles are here.
Thank you for being a better podcast host than I am and remembering the name of that comic, because it totally slipped my mind when I started talking about it. But yeah, like we had a good time talking. I told everybody that like I liked buying Marvel omnibuses because I could smell the paint and enjoyed sniffing the paint from Marvel omnibuses. But yeah, no, he's awesome. You're awesome. You have a really great presence online. Yeah, you're very excited about comics. You're putting in the work. You're dealing with fucking weirdos like me coming on these shows and you know, like supposedly happy about it. We'll pretend you're happy about it at least. But no, this is another comic, ladies and gentlemen, where Jeff tried to get me to read this a long time ago, and I didn't have time for it. And then later I realized, like, holy shit, like I've had this amazing issue in my inbox for a long time and didn't get to it as quickly as I could. Literally everybody on the show tonight has had the same deal where you go, oh my God, I'm now just realizing I'm a failure of a host. But you guys have all
Buzz redemption.
Yeah, Blake's delay is what I should call it. Apparently, like Blake's maybe get around to it one of these days. Like, but you guys like it just gets it gets intense sometimes, and I get all these requests and also like I'm not great at looking at emails.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Unless like I'm getting paid for it, like for my day job. If I'm like
That's
looking at
true.
my day job email inbox. But yeah, anyways, regardless, like I had this issue a while back and then saw him on some other shows that I liked, and I was like, shit, maybe I should read this. Then I read it, and then I was like, shit, I should get him on my show. And then luckily, no one holds a grudge, and so I was like, hey, I was like, yeah, let's come on. And so yeah. Anyways, it's so cool. It's so it's high fantasy mafioso modern gangster epic. Like you have all these elements that you have like pulled together quite effortlessly, wonderfully, ingeniously. I'm just gonna say that. Like
Cool, thank you.
you're a really solid writer. This artist that you've never met before that you just like found in the annals of Twitter or however you found this guy.
Reddit,
like, you know, like you have this amazing artist that is every page is wonderful. It moves real quickly, and it's almost, I don't want to say like, I'm not meaning this in like a negative way, but it was like, it was just like, ooh, like I'm getting it. And then it was like, oh, well, fuck, now I got to buy a second issue on Kickstarter because I can't just stop here. Ideally, like if everything keeps getting funded and everything like works in your favor, like what, how many issues are you planning on here?
I mean, for this story arc, I want to do 6 issues, and it's called The Librarian's War, this story arc. And as if you read the issue, so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But basically, like there's an elf that came to town, and he's starting some stuff up with all the Thez cartels. So that's going to play itself out in the first 6 issues. And then I'm kind of going to switch it up a little bit because the whole idea to me is like I don't want anyone to have like plot armor or anything like that. So there's no main character. There's nothing like that. You never know who's going to go when, that kind of thing. And there's going to be a lot of people going all the time. Like even at the end of the issue, I have a thing where it's like, you know, rest in peace. And it's like, who died that issue? You know what I'm saying? Even the first issue has, every issue is going to have that. So I don't know if there'll ever be an issue that won't have any killing in it or whatever, but yeah, it's going to be pretty violent. There's not going to be any like cursing, you know, maybe some like light nudity, stuff like that. Nothing like crazy, because like, you know, I want anyone pick it up off the rack and not have to worry about what they see in it or anything, but it's going to be a little grotesque. You know, there's going to be some gore, I guess would be the biggest thing you got to worry about. But yeah, as far as like past that, I don't know. Cause like I'm doing a prequel video game with my friend Chris, you know, from Retro Village is his video game company. We've been trying to do some stuff. So he's putting together a demo of like a top-down shooter, sort of like a Hotline Miami or like the original Grand Theft Auto game, something like that. So it's going to be a prequel kind of showing the rise of the Dwarf Father and how he took over Thez and became the Dwarf Father and everything like that, what his name is, you know, just kind of like an origin story. So that's a whole nother thing. And then, yeah, after that, I don't know. I kind of have about 6 more story arcs planned at least, you know, after that. So we'll see what happens. Not everything's scripted yet, but I have the, you know, the treatments, the other characters that are going to be showing up, who's doing what, you know, just that kind of stuff. Obviously, things can change at any time, but to me, I don't know. This is something I feel like I want to, you know, I want to be in this world for a while at least. I don't know if I'm ever going to get bored, like Rent was saying. But yeah, you know, I'm not going to go around Kirkmaning it up and saying, "Oh, we're doing 300, baby. Don't worry about it." But I mean, the way we're doing it is like 2 episodes, or, you know, issues at a time, because I don't even want to get like, if I work with Danielle for the rest of my life, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's 2 issues a year. I mean, I guess we get 100 by the time I'm 80 something. So, you know, I'm not in no rush. I guess 100 issues would be cool. I guess I'm aiming for that. I don't know if it's even doable. I don't know. I'll wait for 6 and then I'll worry about the rest. But
yeah. No, that's sick. So what I thought was interesting is the magic and like what the hell is the word? Like old weapons, like you know, like those
like
things
almost like medieval
find,
kind of stuff.
Yeah, you like find it buried in the ground and it's called something. Anyway, whatever.
Like ancient weapons.
Yeah, I'm not a man of words, guys. I'm just a fucking podcaster. But anyways, like we have this like I love the execution scene with the giant magical hammer. But I also loved that this both anchored me and jostled me when like the fucking elves are using like guns and they're like shooting people down. And that you have like a basically like magical SWAT force that's still using firearms in this land of like, you know, magic and fantasy. And that was very intriguing to me. Like, what was your thought process there?
So a big thing is like, so first of all, there are no elves that are knights in Thez, which are what the police are called. They're called knights. So they did not, no elves shot any guns in this episode, in case anyone was listening to Blake there, but all the other creatures did. So anyway, my thought process is basically, magic's kind of out of style. You know what I mean? No one's really doing magic, especially in Thez. Like magic powder, they're doing it to get high, really. They're not really using it for what it was originally used for, which was kind of, like increase, speed, stuff like that. But also like, they could grow things faster with this stuff. Because later on, we're going to find out that giants, like, because there's a whole land of giants and they use magic powder to grow their crops and stuff faster than, what a regular, tree would grow, or a regular, whatever. So anyway, magic powder, that's one of the main uses for it. But overall, it was used to, heal things, all kinds. There's so many uses for it because you can, as you've seen in the first episode, it gives you strength. They could do different things if you knew how to do sorcery and stuff like that. So the elves basically figured it out before anyone else, and they took over the world this way. So now, it's thousands of years later. They don't want other people really getting into sorcery and doing anything to mess up their game. So they're kind of locking down the whole magic aspect of what could be in that world. You know what I mean? So there's not a whole lot of magic being released in the world these days. So the guy who runs the library of sorcery, he's just a bored elf who's just, has all this power and doesn't know what to do with it. And so he's going to basically go to the one place that the elvish law won't stop him. Because if you're an elf, you're not allowed to kill. You're not allowed to do anything like that. Or you're going to be suffering for, because you live longer also. There's so many ways to explain this thing. But yeah, elves are basically just a bunch of peaceful, they don't even drive cars. They try to take care of their planet, all that kind of stuff, because they just, they have it as good as you can have it. You have everything. No one's worried about money if you're an elf, nothing like that. There's no homeless elves. There's nothing like that in their little country. But then around the rest of the world, everybody's living however you can live. There's farmers, there's this and that, there's miners, there's all kinds of stuff, just any kind of, factories, things like that. But the elves, they fund all these things in these other countries because they run the world. But in their country, they don't have any of that stuff because they don't want to pollute their part of the world and stuff. So it's just kind of like a whole selfish society of elves, just, because they're afraid also, because there's dragons that live on the other side of the world, because there was a truce 2,000 years ago where the dragons and elves just had to stop fighting because like the magic powder wasn't enough to really beat the dragons. So eventually they just they took their spots and that was it. So now they're kind of like, eventually you'll see dragons in here too, but that won't be for a while. And
I was really stoked about that when we started talking about dragons. I was like, okay, like I was in it. I was like,
human sized, humanoid kind of thing. You know what I mean? They're not going to be like big old dragons talking to these. Like there's going to be some gangster ass dragons and stuff like that. They're going to be kind of like a mix of like Mexican cartel kind of style with like a kind of like a Russian mafia thing too. They're the craziest. Once we get to the dragons, you're gonna see some crazy shit.
Please make the next issue just called Gangster Ass Dragons.
Gangster Ass Dragons. Yeah.
Just be like, or but I'm just don't probably because I don't have the best ideas. But to me, that sounds like I would buy. I'm gonna buy it anyway because like you fucking hooked me and I'm down for it. But yeah, if you dropped if it was like Jeff's next Kickstarter, Gangster Ass Dragons, I was like, I'll buy all 3 variants. Fuck it, here we go. Give me if there's a naked variant, if there's a titty variant,
want that naked $35.
Yeah. I'll buy it. I'll buy that. I'll buy those dragon titties for $35 plus shipping. You heard it here on Blake's Buzz. Jesus Christ.
Oh man, it might happen. Man. I might have to come down to that just to. If it starts getting low on like the backers on the next one, the 4th one will straight up just be Gangster Ass Dragons. So I know I have Blake's Buzz's sponsorship behind me. But yeah, man, I mean, I can't wait to get. Like that's the thing. Like I have all these stupid ideas, for years now. I have a whole big old accordion folder full of all this stuff, all the lore and everything. But it's gonna take a while to get to it all. So you know what I mean. It's hard to like. I don't know, like break it all down and make it exciting one spot at a time. But that's what the preview pages are for, because I feel like they speak for themselves a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, you're also doing like almost your own bestiary, like side, like a digital reader guide on top of everything, which you're including your way to market your digital. There's so many digital deluxe where like a lot of people want to charge extra, and I appreciate like getting scripts and stuff, but not everybody's like me. Like I mean, a lot of people are like, I don't want to read your comic script. I want to read.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to read my ugly ass handwriting or the notepad that I put it in. Like I just type it into a text notepad and email that. You know what I mean? It's nothing pretty here. It's not like my film scripts. I actually tried to self-publish unproduced film scripts at one point. Nobody wanted those either. So yeah, no, you're not wrong. Nobody wants the scripts.
but you have this cool like digital extra. Are you printing those too for the higher tiers?
If we hit a stretch goal, our third stretch goal would be printing the Fez report,
Okay.
which is basically a character that lives in Fez has accumulated all this information about all these gangsters and he keeps it to himself or herself. I'm not going to really reveal who it is yet, but basically. And I don't want to reveal they know all this stuff either, but it's all going to make sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, how could they have been in that room or whatever? Trust me, there's an explanation I've already thought out and all that kind of stuff. But and this character will be introduced in issue 4, so you don't have to wait that long to meet this character. But so far, the whole idea behind that is just there's not enough time to really even these characters that die in like one scene. Like I like these characters so much, I got to make something up about their past and stuff like that. So that's really where the Fez report comes in. I just want to. Make people care about these characters that, you're never even going to see again, probably, but whatever, they existed, you got to make up a world that existed before we got there. That's basically what it's for,
I just want to steal the name because Thez Report sounds so much cooler than Blake's Buzz. I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just based on Lou Thesz's name, a wrestling fan. Lou Thez, he's an old school wrestler. He's not some guy who's going to have some crazy story come out on the news these days because he's dead. So I don't have to worry about that. Him tarnishing his own legacy like a lot of these idiots nowadays. So, I went with Lou Thez. I was reading his book, Hooker, which is about him. It's like an autobiography. I don't know. Actually, it's just a regular biography because he didn't write it. But, so that made me name it after him. So Thez is named after Lou Thez. And some people actually asked me how to pronounce it. So it's cool that you nailed it. I was happy about that. So, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I always appreciate when I don't fuck up talking because I will. I've done it a couple times tonight, but
I'm sure I have too. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. And like even earlier when you're like, oh, I feel bad. Like I'm glad everyone's not mad at me holding grudges. Like I don't care how long it takes someone to read it, as long as someone reads it. Like even that's just cool, man. Because I've written so many things that people did not read, and even if they supported it, they still didn't want to read it, which is a big part of why I got into making comic books. Because like. I feel like no one I know reads books. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to read a nice book here and there or whatever, but it's like, even if I give the book away, they're not going to read it. Like, it just sucks. So, I was like, I have my friends who've supported, like I said, those self-published screenplays and stuff like that. And they're like, I never read it, blah, blah. So I'm like, if I make a motherfucking comic book with great art, they don't even have to read it. They're going to look at it and they'll understand what the fuck I'm saying. So that's kind of where that came from. I was just frustrated about people don't want to read. We're living in a time where everyone's like, oh, hey, have you seen this TikTok? Have you seen Joe Rogan? Have you seen? And it's like, man, I don't want to look at your stupid phone. But, that's what everybody wants to look at. So now you can watch it. You can read a comic book on a phone. So there you go. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, these guys with the endless scrolling and everything like that. Like digital comics are great, man. Like even you said, like the colors pop and everything. Like I have no problem with digital comics. Like if physical comic books became legal because of whatever reason, like earth-saving practices or whatever, it ain't going to stop comic books. So whatever. I'm not worried about it. But like I like having, like you said, like having your own comic book in your hand. That's pretty cool. There ain't nothing like that. But I mean, holding my stupid tablet, it's the same thing, I guess. I can't throw it across the room on my dad's head like a soft.
It is, but it isn't, man. Like
I know. I mean, it's not.
When you hold up that issue, like that's like your baby.
Like I can feel the pages against my face, that kind of thing.
I always go back. I always go back to Stan Lee's comments, and he says when they asked him about digital versus print, he said, comics are a lot like boobs. They look great on the screen, but they feel better in your hand. So. Is
that a real Stan Lee quote?
That's a real Stan Lee quote. Yeah, man.
It's not a bad quote at all.
I don't know.
I'm gonna put that one on my vision board behind me. That's good.
Yeah.
Stan always had a great way with words. So I don't doubt. I've read it many times. So it could be one of those internet urban legend things. But I never got to ask the man myself about it. But I've never heard like, yeah.
That seems to be the case with most comic book fans I've noticed.
Well, listen, back just to circle back, you've got 3 great things on the horizon. You've got gangster ass dragons, dragon titties, and now you've got a versus issue that you can talk about.
Yeah, we got it all, man. Yeah, build it up, man. And so one thing I wanted to show just from the first issue is like, I remember sitting one time and I was just sitting at the computer, and I guess this is the real origin of it. But I was sitting there, I was like, it'd be cool is like a suited up elf with a dope ass sword going like a hitman going to kill some fools on an airplane. And then Danielle made that happen. It's the 13th page of the first issue. And it's like, I don't know. I just love this stupid shot, man. It's just like a splash page, on his way to Thez. He's going to Thez from G-Tier, which is the city where they live. And he's a magistrate, which is what they have instead of police in in the Elven continent. And it's like, so he's never even gotten to do much violence himself because, like I said, violence is super illegal, and especially killing. But you find out in the second issue why he actually had to go do some of this killing with his elf friend Ja. So I'm pretty excited about that, because I think in the first issue people are going to be wondering, like, why is this guy doing all this crazy shit? And you're going to find out pretty quickly by the second issue. I just, because I don't want to do tons of flashbacks or anything either. I hate flashbacks. I'm not big on flashbacks, taking out the momentum of the story. But I also do like feeding people information slowly. So you kind of got to, find a middle ground.
Man, what a way to sound like a hot shit writer just now, by the way, sir. Like, look at you just dropping those little gems and let us follow that. Like, no, I flashbacks. Yes, I agree. Like, sometimes they can be used well, but they're oftentimes not. They're relied upon too heavily, and they take you out of the story, and then they'll take you out, and then you get into the flashback, and then it fucking throws you back into the story, and then you're like, you fucking gaslit me again, man. Like,
that's the worst. Yeah, like they're competing against each other. Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Shaking and rattling my brains. Like, I'm a fucking podcast host. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can't fucking deal with all this going on. Jeff, you are a cool sounding dude, man, and it's just weird. Like, you just have like a really good ambiance about you, and it's weird when you like start talking about like elven nations, and like you obviously like are in this world, and you're here for it, and we're here for you. But it just, I worked in a bar for a long time when I was a bouncer, and I talked to people like you a lot, but I never talked to people like you about like comic books and fantasy realms and shit. So it's just like, I like the vibe that you're giving out in the things that you're saying. You're like, yeah, dragon titties. And yeah, I'm just like, I'm here to write this book, we're going to put it out, like, yeah, like some of these people have guns. They're going to fucking shoot the dwarf father, and they're going to fucking play in this back room. You know what? We're going to like switch it up a little bit. There's giants, there's dragons. It's going to be cool. We're going to put it out there. You say it so nonchalantly and cool. Like, and again, I go back to like your social media presence and just how pleasant you are online and how willing you are to talk to people like me, which I know helps you as well, but also like you have to deal with people like me. And so like, but it's just cool, man. Like, I love this world that you've built, and it's so in depth, and it's so the way that you establish all these different elements is so original and fresh. And it's so new, and it's not really seen, and it has both this feel of like this archaic lore that was like built hundreds and thousands of years ago, which is also like embedded in our modern world, which you do really well. The art is absolutely gorgeous. You're in your second issue, and you already have like there's so much lore that I can tell, like, you're excited to talk about, you're excited to explore, and you're excited to like put onto the page and have more and more issues done. And like, I'm just fucking excited for you, dude. Like, I think you found some gold, man. I think you found some magic.
Thank you, my man. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you on pretty much all counts. I will say that I think things like, growing up at the time I grew up, I was born in 86. So, Nintendo and all that stuff was kind of, coming out, being big. And, you grow up, and then Lord of the Rings hits pretty big, the Batman movie, stuff like that, Spider-Man, whatever. And then Game of Thrones was just a huge thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know, as far as fantasy setting, like all those kinds of things set up me being able to bring that to a bar and pitch it to friends at a bar. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't always like that. I'm sure, like you said, like, I mean, for my dad, if he wanted to come up with this idea in the 70s or something, people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, like, and it probably would have worked then too, but not, I look at a thing like Shadowrun, for instance, is kind of similar in some ways. It's not a comic book. It's a, Dungeons and Dragons kind of RPG, but I don't know, like, people weren't ready for that kind of mainstream fantasy yet, I don't think. And I think now they are. So it's cool that I can mix it with something, like The Professional, or like The Godfather, or, Breaking Bad, and all these things that I've just been hooked on as long as I've been hooked on, video games and everything else. So I think Mortal Kombat's also a huge influence on me, because seeing them mix like Big Trouble in Little China, Terminator 2, Bruce Lee, you know what I mean? Just all that stuff, Jane Fonda, like Sonya Blade, whatever. I just think just seeing you could mix all these cool stuff and make your own world and make your own franchise and all that stuff. I think Mortal Kombat had a big influence on me outside of comic books, Just that.
I'm
I'm gonna have to
mad.
buy your book just based on all the pop culture name drops you're doing. I mean,
Oh,
it's just-
yeah, that's the thing. It's influenced.
Are
like,
you
that's all I know.
looking at the bookshelf and the movies behind you?
Yeah, I have but now I mean, it's just, man, that's when we all grew up, I guess, so we're all used to it. But
Yeah,
it's
we're all like middle-aged nerds.
yeah, exactly.
Like, no, I'm still mad, and I've said this several times. I do not understand why, of all the comic book things that we can buy every month and all the media properties that have their own comic books now, there should be a fucking long-running Mortal Kombat. There should basically be an Injustice Tom Taylor-esque comic that is Mortal Kombat. It is fucking silly to me that fucking Boom has licenses for everything. It's silly that like Boom or
I'll
Dark
write it
Horse,
for 'em if they want 'em.
right?
I'll do
I
it all
will. Like
day,
it'll
man.
be,
Yeah,
it won't be
I'm
that
down.
great.
Let's collaborate.
But I'll
Let's do
try.
it.
Like but it's like it's such an iconic deal. Like Final Fantasy has manga, right? Like that. But
You guys say, I
and
didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Street Fighter too. Street Fighter has comics.
yeah, and so it's very odd that we don't have like an ongoing Mortal Kombat epic. And I love the Injustice comic that Tom Taylor wrote. Like it's really intense. Art gets hit and miss, but I mean, you know, when you do like 250,000 issues or however long that thing ran, like you can't have perfect art every panel. But you know, like it's just odd, like because it's so ingrained into like our nerd culture. All these Mortal Kombat games, all these movies, and it's there have been MK comics, like
Yeah, there's like a Mortal
them.
Kombat 10 series or whatever.
Yeah,
It's pretty
but
short. I have it
they're like
digitally.
mini series that run for like 4 issues and then stop and then like
No depth. or
anyways.
anything.
But yeah, so
No, I totally. And I was even talking about something like that yesterday. I was talking about how I miss NBA Jam. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like they came around the same time as like that arcade atmosphere. It's like, you know, they could easily be putting out NBA Jam games every year, making free money on that. And there's like no, like kids these days don't even know what NBA Jam is. Like that blows my mind. So like, yeah, like Mortal Kombat, it's a wasted license. NBA Jam's a wasted license. Like I don't know what
he's on fire. Like
boom shakalaka. Like come on, man, let's get loose. But yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer. Like yeah, all these great things just sitting there not being used. Even like Dick Tracy, if you want to talk comics, like Warren Beatty, that idiot, he bought the license, hasn't used it since. You know what I mean? He made that one movie.
Yeah.
It was a good time. I was a little kid. I liked it, but man, I would love to just have my hands on some Dick Tracy. You know what I'm saying? I'll write that. Like, I don't know. It's
I got a crazy treatment for a Dick Tracy reboot.
Oh, baby. Yeah. See, Ruben knows what's up. So yeah, I mean,
Ah.
there's so much fun stuff to do with comic books and like all these licenses. Like I know there's G.I. Joe comics, right? There's so many different things you could write a comic book for. I know Alien has like comics, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a Big Trouble in Little China meets like Escape from LA. Even I've never read it, but I think I have it somewhere.
yeah, I think like Dark Horse or Boom did that as well. Yeah, so these people have access to the properties. They just don't.
They write like
don't
these real
do it.
half-ass like cash-in gimmicks like that. No one wants really. They want like you said, like a Mortal Kombat epic, like a real freaking story. Like
Yeah, like
Goku as a kid all the way till now. Like that's what they want with like Liu Kang. You know, like let's go.
Yeah, shit, man. Like I just, you know, obviously all the Marvel and Boom and Dark Horse execs that tune in every week to Blake's Buzz, and we sure appreciate you tuning in every week. But you know, we're giving you guys gems, like just
Gold, Jerry, gold.
throw us a damn bone here. Anyways, last but not least, Adam, I know you've been quiet. I'm sorry.
I've been there for 2 hours with you.
Yeah, Adam's like, are we gonna talk about my fucking comic? And like,
I don't think you took a pee break or anything.
No, he's been there like
Ronins
watching the
and
show.
all this
like a
other
champ.
shit. Anyways, let's say there's this comic coming out from Source Point Press, and here
Oh,
you
the
go.
microphone's in. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I need to get a boom. I bought a $400 fucking microphone and I don't have like a boom for it. So that's, you know, I got to be able to buy my comics, guys. Like, you know, we're doing baby steps. Anybody wants to like, you know, pay for a boom for Blake's Buzz Live? Like, hey, I'll take it. You know, like you want a weird picture? I'll send it to you. We'll talk about that later. We're not really OnlyFans here, but you know, I'm not above it. You know, you guys want to see a big squishy guy do weird shit? Hit me up. Anyway, sorry, Adam. Hey, what's up, bud? Adam's like, this isn't my comic. All right. In a galaxy filled with twin moons, twin suns, and twin planets, everything comes in twos, even the people. And if your twin dies, so do you. This is the way it's always been. So when Captain Andromeda's twin loses her life in a far-off military battle, and Captain Andromeda herself does not die, needless to say, the universe demands answers. Answers that the captain is willing to give to the highest bidder. Of course. This comic is fucking dope as hell. Corollary coming from Source Point Press. It's 420. What a good date to release a fucking trippy heady comic, right? I don't know. Wait, what? Drugs? I don't know, whatever. Anyway. But so you're Adam is the writer.
Yep.
Robert Ahmad is the artist. DC Hopkins is the letterer. You've got a very solid fucking creative team behind you, sir. And a very solid first issue. Like, I was really digging it. Ahmad's art is very, it's similar to Bab's Tar, and it's like sexy and vibrant and animated, but also like the characters feel very real. Emotions are very easy to pick up. You, as we talked about, your comic got a good review from the Locust blog, and they hit the nail on the head. You know, the darkness of space is it's not something you're dealing with. Like, your space environment is very vibrant and fun and bright, and like, it's just so cool. And like, I love Source Point. Like, Source Point puts out amazing comics and has amazing creators, and like, you very much belong there. You're in a good place, that you're in that like warm pond that's not full of piss. It's just warm and comfortable, right?
It is. It's like a hot bath. Yeah. It's no, I mean, you know, the color thing is funny. I'll like start right there. Like the big twist or experiment that we decided with this at the beginning was Rob Ahmad. We just were playing around, and he hand watercolored a few pages. And then, you know, we took that and looked at it with Source Point, like, hey, let's make this whole thing watercolored. So he watercolored it by hand. And the tone, the palette, everything about it just kind of, it vibed with what we wanted the story to feel like. And yeah, I mean, this is a kind of a galactic, I mean, it has like a sci-fi fantasy blending thing going on here, but at the heart, it's also about a family, like this young woman and just her kind of dealing with like her relationships lost and regained, and her parents, and just how she's kind of comes off as a narcissist early on, but then you realize pretty quickly that there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more beneath the surface. And I just wanted it to be, it's a huge concept, but it's grounded with this, like, these few core characters, and just trying to get something, trying to save her family in a way is really what it's about.
And you have a really great, I know obviously we won't spoil it, even though it's so hard sometimes to have you guys on, and I want to say shit that I'm not allowed to say. But the cliffhanger you drop at the end of this first issue is really cool. Where did this duality mentality come from? You're very much embedded in this realm of twos, and so, like, where did that come from?
I got to give my daughter credit. You know, this is like, well, years ago when this project started, or when I wrote the script, but some friends were having twins, and like, I was putting my daughter to bed, and she said something very innocent and positive about the concept. Like, so if one of the twins, like, you know, gets tickled, will the other one laugh? And then I like put her to bed, and I went in the other room. I was like, if a twin gets killed, will its twin die? And that's where it started. So, and, you know, of course, that's not like, I mean, the concept of like twins, like feeling each other's like emotions or pain and all that is nothing new. But I just took it to, like, I just kept making it bigger, to the point where it's a galaxy mostly populated by twins of all beings, shapes, and sizes, including, I have, you know, down the road, you might encounter some twin planets that are sentient. I mean, there's a lot of different twins out there. And then I just realized, like, you know, different. If this is the world or the rules of the world that these people or these beings live in, I mean, you're going to have some dark, fucked up people too. Like, you're going to have someone like, oh, well, I'm scared that my twin's a little too depressed. I'm going to just put them in a padded room for the rest of their life to make sure they don't do anything to prevent me from continuing, or, all kinds of just possibilities like that. And yeah, here's this one person that has apparently skirted the rules. And now she seems to be on the surface, like, capitalizing on that. Like, she's planet hopping as a speaker, like a keynote speaker on, look at me, I survived. I'm a freak, but you all want to know how I did it. And that's where it starts. And then it kind of, as you know, like, by the end of the first issue, things get very twist and turned right away. And, it's 4 issues monthly starting April 20th, but and it has a satisfying ending. However, it also can be wide open to continue.
Nice. I like how you've both stolen and manipulated your innocent daughter's ideas to monotonize on that. Like, that's just that's such a good, like, what is not, like, that's the best dad move ever. No, but I'm totally kidding, but it is funny how this all came from, like, oh, like, what if they tickled someone and they laughed, and you were like, yeah, what if they fucking died and they both died? Like, that's
Boom.
where it is.
Yeah, that's yeah, there's no like, somebody getting tickled on one planet and someone else giggling on the other. I mean, I guess, that could be a future series, like the kind of positive side of it. But no. No, I mean, and working with Rob was incredible. He lives in England, so we had a similar, like Jeff was talking about his artist in Italy. I mean, it was pretty much a email, Twitter, DM correspondence. And then like DC Hopkins came on as the letterer, and he's increased, like, done every big book there is, it feels like, and he was just a pro's pro. And like, having like Josh and Cameron at Source Point kind of like help me along the way with just making everything nice and smooth for the launch was just perfect. So it's been a really, it's been a long haul. Like, these comics, as you all know, it's passion, it's love, and it's a marathon.
Yeah. Does anybody have local artists? Like, is there any like indie comic being made where like the artist lives in America? I'm kind of wondering if that's like, because everybody who has this like awesome art, and they're like, yeah, we like found each other online, and like he lives like, on the other side of the planet, and then we like came together and made this crazy story. And it's just like, it's very intriguing to me, because so in a previous interview, when I talked to the By the Horns guys, when I talked to Marcus-san and Jason, and they talked about how hard it was, they said one of the hardest things about art teams was it's like real easy to, or not real easy, but it's easier to find an artist you vibe with. It's really hard to find a colorist. And that's like a huge headache, is to, like, when you're a writer and an artist and you're like trying to find a colorist that like makes is within your idea of like what you're trying to produce. But all you guys I talk to, you guys are always like, yeah, I found this writer who's like in this town I've never heard of that I can't pronounce, and we just like hit it off, and they like made these pages that like are gorgeous. Like, the pages in Corollary, everybody, like, first of all, just get your pre-orders in right now, because you can still pre-order it, and you're gonna want it, and it's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful and it's vibrant. I love the animated vibe, and also just like, it has like a really good it makes that alienness like come to fruition, right, of like good sci-fi, whereas like the people look like people, but there's also so many new images that like are fresh to us, right, where it feels new and foreign, and for good sci-fi, with a very comforting and bright and intriguing color palette, which I have not really seen in a sci-fi story, which is intriguing. Like, what is it like when you're sending these scripts and then you're getting these like finished pages in your email? Like,
Oh, I mean, just my kind of an explosion into my eyes. I mean, it was a big kind of gamble as far as to like go for this watercoloring, and he, like I said, he did it by hand, and sometimes like there's like certain chromatic scenes that we wanted to go in that vein because of like certain emotions we wanted conveyed, and the watercolors kind of would help that, like a sense of like anger or passion kind of come off the page even more. But at the same time, it's softer. It's hard to explain, like, because the fact that it's not a digital kind of like very compartmentalized coloring, and it's soft, but it was, when those pages came in, I mean, there were sometimes I was kind of like, oh my God. I mean, he'd send them to me in phases. Like, obviously I'd get thumbnails, and then I'd get like just the pencils, and then the inks, and like seeing the watercolor on top of that was like every time just, oh my, I mean, that's where it kind of just jumped off the page. And he was really good about understanding the different creatures we had, like a lot of the sentient aliens that are just coming in from like these like assassin panda looking beings to a district attorney that's also a anthropomorphic or talking giant vase. I mean, there's a lot of different characters but also we have our main characters who is human or humanoid, I guess you could say. So the use of the watercoloring would sometimes like add just like a distinction between these types of beings. So that helped a lot too. And then of course DC coming in and just playing with lettering, because I feel like lettering gets a short shrift as far as credit, but just wanting different characters to have a different way of talking show through the visuals of the lettering, and DC was just perfect at that.
How many children do you have, and how many of them are currently working on ideas for your next comics that you're?
All right. If you really, I have two, and the other one was my first comic. I wrote a graphic novel that came out by coincidence, a British publisher called Marcosia Entertainment, called Playground Attack of the Gurglebots. That was like a middle grade graphic novel that was, the games you play on the playground, when this one kid played them, they're real. Like if he plays freeze tag, it's real. So that idea came from my son, who's now 12, but that was like 7 or 8 years ago. So I guess, I got to give my kids a lot of credit.
I cannot wait till my son starts talking, like really talking, because I'm running out. Let me tell you.
Well, you have like 8 books in the backlog like that are about you. You be quiet. You stop it. No, so but no, that's I do. That's super cool. Like, I feel like I never did anything good for my dad, so that's cool. That I'm just a failure. No, that's fine. I'm just kidding. My dad and I have a really good relationship. But that's the creative. It's where we find inspiration, right? Is so intriguing, and everyone always says like from the mouths of babes, right? Like like that cheesy ass saying, and you're like, yeah, but I'm gonna make some money on that, and that's rad. But no, I also know that like like I'm not trying to discredit your comic. It's so good. I'm just giving you shit. It's so fun, and it's like I said, the higher tier of like the we live in like a dichotomous world, even though we like beg people to not see it in black and white, right? But we come back to this dichotomy of where it's this or it isn't, or it's us or it's not, or whatever kind of like shit that like bigots want to like produce in that same narrative where it's like it's normal or it's ungodly or fearful or whatever. And so I really appreciated your take on this dichotomous world that we live in, and to put that into a science fiction world out into space, and also like give it a lot of gray matter and a lot of in between and a lot of mystery and variation, which is so like, was that hard to do? Because you're in this, your narrative is very much like it's twin based, it's one or the other, right? And they can't even really live without each other, right? So if like right. if one dies, then the other dies, and there's no self-existence. It's all this duality. But you created this narrative that undermines your own narrative. What the fuck? That doesn't even make sense when I say it out loud. Like, how did you do that?
Well, I mean, like everybody here has said, I mean, the first thing you got to have is who is your character? Like, what do they want? Like, more than anything, if you have to understand them at their core. You can have a great story or this mind blowing high concept, but if you don't know who they are, and if you can't get your readers to give a shit about them, then you're screwed. And that's, so it starts with her. Yeah, like you said, she's an anomaly. She seems to be like, I mean, how is she even handling the fact that she is alone? I mean, even in real life, forget about twins. Like if you lose like a sibling that you're close to, like just to be dark, I guess for a second here, I mean that it's like losing a limb, and that's how she is. It's like a phantom limb, and she's like, but a phantom consciousness that she's struggling to deal with the ghost or like the kind of this missing piece of her. Yet at the same time, things do get revealed in the issue 2 and so on, where more will be revealed. I don't know how to say it without saying too much, because I do hope everybody will give it a shot.
No, I do too. And again, like, if we want to get angry Blake out there again, like, this is a fucking comic that people need to pre-order. And I love Source Point Press. And Adam, I loved your comic, and I'm so glad you're getting good reviews. And I hope that influences your pre-orders, because it's a cool book, dude. Like,
I appreciate it.
Just off a first issue is hard, right? Like you only have a certain amount of pages, and you're having to, like, pave the way for these bigger ideas. And you have, you said it yourself, you have like a high concept, it's a high concept narrative. And so you have to like get people comfy in this weird zone, in this sci-fi world with, all these different peoples and places and things. And then, give us enough to like anchor us in the first issue, and then also like entice us to buy the second, right? And I feel like you did that. You did that well, which is very hard to do, and I commend you for that. So I mean, I guess you're a good writer. I guess fine, whatever. No, you're a very good writer, and I very much loved your comic. And I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited for it. I'm glad. I like that Source Point grabbed this, because they're just. I think I said this earlier, like when we started this like 18 hours ago, however long we've all been talking. But like I mentioned, like, Source Point's like, it's so fucking punk rock. They like have this, like, they basically like run a comic shop out of a garage, and it's just a handful of people that all love comics, that are passionate, that are trying to find, good indie creatives and give them a voice and give them an outlet to scream that voice from the rooftops and say, buy my fucking stories and read my stories and experience my narratives. And so I feel like this is a really good fit for them, but I also feel like I feel like you've already got like a good amount of buzz, and I think buzz. Wow, I just did that on accident. But you've done well of like, you're very good about reaching out to press and saying like, hey, here's my comic, you should read it. And not a lot of creatives are great at that. And
well, I owe your friend who put me in touch with you, Ryland Grant, his advice.
Hold on, time out. Just real quick, we're just recap. Ryland Grant is Blake Morgan's friend. That's okay. No, that's it. It's done. That's been said.
Friend or like acquaintance?
No, he's I hope he's my friend. Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. I've interviewed him before, and he was cool. But no, so he told you to contact me? That's not.
Yeah. He
fucking
actually
life, man. Life is weird.
And
I never thought this would happen.
We talk about comic book stores being like a community, like our local shop, because he happens to live in the same town as me. Like, we live in Los Angeles, but we live in a little town called Eagle Rock. And our comic shop, Comic vs. Toys, the owner there put us in touch. And Ryland's just been like, amazing with just advice and like, hey, you got to reach out to Blake. I mean, he's just been a pretty cool like mentor, even though he's probably younger than me.
No, yeah, he's Yeah, Ryland's something else. Like when I talked to him, and then he talked to me about meditation, and we started talking about meditation and all this stuff, and I was like, dude, you're blowing my mind right now. And that was one of the, because obviously you guys know, I talk a lot. Like Ryland talks a lot, but you don't, not in an offensive way and not in an intimidating way, but he just starts talking and you're just like, I'm gonna fucking shut up and learn. And he just fills you with his knowledge, and he's such a different kind of nerd, and he's such a great writer, and I love his comics. But yeah, no, weird, man. Small world. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that?
World, yeah.
Well, that's good. Hey, man, that's a good dude to have in your back corner. Because he knows the indie game, which is also, he obviously has done some Source Point stuff too, but he likes the Kickstarter stuff too.
He's busy. He's going to be at WonderCon this weekend.
Yeah, they just announced his new book with Immortal Studios. Which is the Wuxia comics. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I probably sound like an idiot white boy, but that's fine. It's late. We can forgive me a little bit, but no, that's so cool. But so what did he hook you up with Source Point people too, or
no? I've been just kind of reaching out to them. I had a couple other pitches earlier. I met them at some cons. I think the first one I saw them at was WonderCon years ago, and then LA Con before the pandemic, and just cultivated a relationship with them, and then just everything clicked when Corollary came around.
Very cool, man. Now, when you steal your children's ideas and pitch them to publishers, if they say no, do you punish your children?
I have this stick that I keep under my bed. Yeah, no, it's actually not all my ideas. I mean, I have this new thing that I'm almost the script's done, and I'm hoping to work with this artist. He did Magenta King. He did Jenny Zero.
Jenny Zero, baby, yeah.
So Magenta and I have been talking together, and we're kind of stoked. He's done a few teaser pages for something that's gonna, hopefully I can talk more about soon.
Fuck yeah, man! Keep Blake's Buzz in your back pocket, baby. Yep. Come back on here and talk about new comics anytime. I'm trying to get Brock and Dave out on the show, and we were talking. We were all bullshitting on Twitter, and I was trying to get and I get Magenta isn't as confident in his speaking skills, and they were like, no, fuck you, so I'm trying to get the whole Jenny Zero team on. Anyway, awesome. This is about you guys though, but his art is phenomenal. That's so cool. Wow. Again, this small world that we just all know the same people. I'm just maybe I guess I'm just don't notice how many comic book people I talk to now. Which is weird because I'm comic books press. So it's I talk to a lot of people, but then I don't think so this is all I haven't been doing Blake's Buzz, the blog, which isn't even here right now because I'm rebuilding my blog more slowly than surely. But I launched my blog a year ago. Facebook memories just reminded me that I did this a year ago. And the podcast started in July. And then, now I've decided to do this live stream once a week too. So I do a podcast and a live stream every week because and I'm fucking insane. And but it all just feels new, and it still shocks me. I don't know, man. I never thought the five of you gentlemen all have crazy impressive comics and impressive narratives, and you're also fucking talented, and you have crazy talented. Well, some of you have crazy talented teams, like Sean and Renton just do it all themselves because you're fucking animals. Well, Sean has a letterer, so I guess. But I mean, you guys have so much talent, and it still boggles my mind where I can hit you guys up last week and be like, you guys want to deal with my bullshit for a couple hours next Wednesday night, and not only do you say yes, but you're excited about it. What? No, that's crazy. So anyways, no, it's just I'm still getting used to my own place in comic book world, and it's just crazy that people tolerate me. So thanks, guys. Thanks for dealing with my bullshit.
It's just nice to talk to other human beings, honestly, after spending almost all of our time inside, face down, doing comics. So,
Thanks.
So Adam, when do we find out? Like when does this happen? Like when do we find out about all your new comics? Because I'm sorry, man. Like Corollary is awesome, but here's the bad thing, and I'm gonna say this to all of you because I mean it to every single one of you. Here's the bad thing about putting out a really fucking dope a few issues, like whether it's a few issues or whether it's you know like an ongoing digital thing that we get snippets of it at a time, or a really great first issue of Illusion Witch, or whatever, however we want to go here. Here's the bad part about when you guys, show your ass, your talented ass, like when you show that to the whole world, is now we want more of you. And so now your great comic that you've come out with it's no longer good enough. Like now, like cool, like yes, Adam, get me these other 3 issues, but also like what's next, right? Like how do you guys deal with that? Are you guys ever like leave me alone and like let me just finish the project? Or like, because I feel like a lot in comics is like you guys have stuff in your back pocket, you guys have cards up your sleeves, you guys have other plans and ideas and things that, and you're trying to make moves. And so like how do you balance? And all I mean, some of you guys have families, some of you guys have kids, some of you guys have lives. Like, how do you do this shit?
It's definitely a juggling act, I think.
Big time.
100%. I try to read as much as possible in terms of comics, so that I can study the craft, and kind of like what Ren was saying was, study at the feet of the masters, and try to take what you can from them. I constantly feel guilty when I'm in the room with the door closed, writing. So I take advantage a lot of like when my fiance and my kid go to like right now, she just left to Buffalo early this morning. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. I wrote 54 pages on a new screenplay that I'm writing. It's kind of this revenge flick, and then I was on the phone with my co-creator on another book called Inferi. My co-creator Casey Bowker, who just had a book release on Keen Spot today, and he was like, I was talking to him about this other book that I want to get going, and me and him have 2 other graphic novels going on right now. One's called Don't Talk to the Dead, and the other one's called Teachers Suck. One of them was based off a screenplay that we wrote, and I started talking to him about this other project called The Islands that I want to do, and he just like lets out this long sigh, and he's like, listen, I'm with you. He's like, I'm just tired, man. Like, we're both new dads, and I was like, no, I get it. I was like, look, listen, if you want to just be the editor on the book, and you don't want to you don't want to write, maybe you come guest write on an issue or whatever. And by the end of the conversation, he was on board. He wanted to come do it with me and come play again. But yeah, man, I think we all, like all of us, I mean, like Ren says, he wakes up at 5 a.m. Sean does it all. Adam is stealing ideas from his kids. No, I'm just playing. Jeff is absorbing all of the stuff that he's taken in over the years. We all have a unique approach, but we all have the same approach. I think we've all realized, I think fairly quickly, that this isn't a hobby. This is a job, and when you start treating it that way, then I think that's when the results come. So no matter what life throws at you, whether it's, in this case, my mom passed away, or I had a kid out of like literally nowhere. I met my fiance, and 3 months later she was pregnant. It was like crazy love story. I was turning exactly. I was turning 38. I didn't think I was gonna have a kid. So all of these things happen, but in the end, the stories call us back. So we find time, we make time, or if not, damned be all, we do it either way, any way we can.
That's
yeah, awesome. I mean, the only thing I would add is just to say, you're gonna miss a lot, and it's gonna hurt, but that's the cost.
Yeah, as far as compartmentalizing goes, for me at least, I have my own little office here in my apartment, and I don't do any comic shit outside of these four walls. I don't talk about comics with my wonderful girlfriend. I try to keep everything very separate. That way, like these four walls, this is where I spend all of my creative energy, and I don't need to think about anything outside of this room. And it helps me like keep my life balanced. That way, I'm not like so hyper focused on storytelling and comics 24/7. Because at the end of the day, like comics is what I love, but it's also my job, and I don't want to be constantly thinking about work.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
me,
it.
the opposite. I don't have a place to call my own. I just have to do it because my kids, my everything. There's no like private place for me, but I just do it where I can, when I can. And honestly, like I feel like, and everyone here has already said it. Like you have to love it, and for me, it's the opposite. Like if I don't do it, that's when the darkness comes on me. Is if I'm not doing it, if I'm not finding the time to do it, then that becomes the problem. And until that, isn't there, then I have to. I mean, I'm kind of compelled to keep coming up with stuff and keep writing. I mean, I feel better when I'm working on this stuff.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
I mean, like everyone else has said, like, you gotta love it, obviously, that kind of thing. But like, I don't know, like to me, I can't stop thinking about it. I was talking about this with someone earlier today. It's like, my memory of reality isn't as good as normal people's memory of reality because I'm thinking about things that don't exist all the damn time. So like, someone's like, oh, do you remember this? So then I'm like, I mean, plus the seizures, I got like plus the weed, you know what I mean? I got a lot of brain things going on. So yeah, my memory sucks, but all I think about is making things all the time. Like for my whole life, I don't know what it is about it. It's like now with magic powder, it's like, yeah, I think about, oh, this would be cool to add. This would be cool to add. What are you gonna do? A mimic that's a car or something like that? And it's like, yeah, that'd be dope. And then it's like I have 15 other comic books I would love to do too. You know what I mean? If I had the money or whatever to pay artists to do them, but because I'm not like these guys, like Renton, these Sean, like I can't do no damn art myself. I mean, I know Renton sounded like he started from the bottom and came up and did it. And
I would say at one point, neither could I. I think anybody can do it if they really want to spend the time to figure it out.
Yeah, the early issues of Ronin were all stick figure. Like that's he took those off.
How do you think drawings start off? They all start off as stick figures.
No, definitely. And it's like, before the pandemic, I had started getting into like actually drawing myself and stuff just to because I liked coloring things so much that I was like, I would draw it just so I could color the damn thing in. And then but I don't know, sequentially and stuff like that, man, like I don't know, even with watching all these movies and reading all these comic books, all these things, like I just can't even do it, man. Like when I see Danielle put what I'm thinking, like, and I'll even draw the actual storyboards and stuff, and he still takes it to another level. And it's like, I've never questioned it. Like, yeah, go back to the way I had storyboarded, bro. Like that's never what happens at all. So yeah, I don't know. Like the only thing we ever maybe have to change is like a dialogue thing here and there. And that's because I wrote it anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I can't stop thinking about it. I want to make as many as I can. I worry about being like Berserk, where it's like you do die before it's over or whatever. But I mean, what am I gonna do, bro? I'm not gonna let anyone else do it. You're not doing magic powder fan fiction on my watch, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, fuck it. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will allow anybody who wants to do fan fiction do all the fan fiction you want, but don't like call it magic powder. Jeff Schiller's magic powder by some other guy. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like if I was the guy who came up with Batman, I wouldn't want 7,000 people writing Batman either. So it's like that's how I feel about it. I'm not big on the whole like passing characters around thing. Like, you know what I mean? It meant
something to you. To DC because I think they have about 7,000 Batman books now right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least. I mean, freaking A. I mean, I don't know. So to me, like, yeah, you want to run something in the ground, go ahead and give it to everybody and their mom. But personally, I'd rather keep
it. Do any of you guys want to do Big Two work?
I want to get paid, so whatever. I'll do whatever they want.
I think there are certain characters that I just can't help but to like get giddy about, like that if I had the opportunity to do it just because I do love them with like an undying passion. I mean, you're talking to a guy who like has literally bought the Marvel cards like 3 separate times because life has taken them away from me 3 separate times.
I still got mine from the 90s.
Right.
Yeah.
So I lost my original 90s collection in the 90s at a beach.
My dad would never let me take them out of storage, so they just sit safely.
But yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I mean, just, even with all the horror stories I hear from like, professional writers who have done it, and, they talk about restrictions and this and that and not getting paid, or, making up characters and not getting the credit. I just want to write, like I think, God knew what he was doing when he allowed me to only be able to write, because if I could draw my own stuff, like I would be translucent. You would never see me outside. Unlike Sean and Renton,
I feel like
I
that's how I'm
don't
getting now anyway.
I don't have that ability. Even like, like Sean just said, he was like, "Oh, I don't talk to my girlfriend about that's a mind-boggling concept." My girlfriend,
Yeah,
my
like that's what I was
fiance
thinking when
here.
Sean said that too.
Yeah,
I
if
was
my
like,
fiance
damn.
was here, she'd be like, "Can you teach him how to shut the fuck up?" Because I am constantly just like, "Oh, but if Adia, or if Riley and the agency, and the ex just signed the rights over," and all of it's always, it's 24/7 with me. And like sometimes, like I literally have to turn it off. Like I have to remind myself to just be quiet and be present and be just a regular human being who interacts with you, that doesn't talk about movie scripts or comic books or anything like that. I got to kind of force myself to do
I
it,
feel
because
like
I'm constantly on.
the only thing that makes me present, like, and takes me out of that whole like being a writer thing or whatever, creator, whatever you want to call it, is like sports. Like I'll watch, even now, like when we started this podcast, Rangers were down by 1, they scored, and we won in overtime, and I was watching it, with the corner of my eye. So like the very beginning, I'm gonna probably gif it later, me celebrating that overtime goal. But like, yeah, that's the only thing that like I can take myself, or like think about outside of myself. It's like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Something like I have nothing, like but I don't bet on the games or nothing like that. But like, I've been watching these teams my whole life, that kind of thing. So it's like my favorite TV show is probably sports. You know what I mean? Even though I watch every single TV show that ever exists, all this other shit. But like, you don't know what's going to happen. It's live. It's happening. Everybody's watching at the same time. I don't know. There's something about it. And then when your team is the one that actually does win, and there's, I guess, something very definitive about wins and losses too, which ESPN doesn't understand. So they keep arguing about who's better or whatever. But like, the fact that like you won means you're better. That's all you need to know. So I love that aspect of sports too. Like you get something out of it. Like you're going to get your payoff. I hate a story that doesn't have payoff. So sports, you get your fucking payoff. I don't know.
I torture myself in the sports world too. I'm a Knicks and Dolphins fan, bro.
Oh,
So,
baby, the Knicks fan. I'm a Knicks fan also.
I just torture myself all the way around. All the way
we had a nice little run last year, but yeah, being a Knicks fan has been hard my whole life. Yeah, we went to a couple finals, but yeah, no, freaking A, man. So yeah, I don't know. As far as being present and stuff like that, like, I try not to be some idiot that goes around like taking pictures of where I'm at all the time either. You know what I mean? I try to like live the moment. Like I'm not like selfie, but at the same time, when you're promoting yourself and all this crap, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah, you gotta embrace that selfie.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because it is what it is. Like, if I was big enough to where I didn't have to have social media and stuff, I wouldn't have social media just because I'm afraid of saying some stupid. You know what I mean? Because I just like I'm in a bad mood or something. Like, oh man, you're an idiot, and it's like, whoa, this guy called this guy an idiot, and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, and I probably shouldn't have called the guy an idiot, but I was just in a bad mood or whatever. And it's like I don't understand people who don't need social media who are on social media. Like that's what I don't get, because it's really just kind of a lot of jerks that you don't know. Like I mean, obviously I have a really good community. They're nice people, but like you said, you post something on Reddit, guys, like you don't even know how to write a fucking story, genius. And it's like, yeah, dude, who asked you for your fucking opinion? I just wanted, but I guess I did ask. So it is what it is. I don't know. There's so many ways to go about it.
But. I don't think we should be afraid. I think we need to stop letting the inmates run the asylum, to be honest.
No, that's
with
the
you.
reality.
That's
That
also
is the reality. Yeah.
But I've also been scared of like getting like, especially with the money I've invested into like the podcast and stuff. And it's like, when you buy like a bunch of expensive audio equipment and then you're like, oh, like, yeah, sometimes you do have to watch your mouth, because like if they cancel me, like what the fuck am I gonna do with this microphone and USB interface and like all this shit I bought? Like, but yeah, and it sucks having to think like that. But but I've from what I know about you guys, and I've followed some of you longer than others, but like I don't see a lot of toxicity from you guys.
I just think it is, by the way, because as a kid I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And, the thing is, it's not so much that you're toxic or whatever, but it's like to be a writer or of any kind, you have to be able to workshop an idea. So you have to be able to put it out there. And the second you put out certain ideas in public, social media, like you're going to get judged for putting it out there. So it's like, that's why writers' rooms exist and stuff like that, because you really just can't be unfiltered in public, like no matter what. It's even like, it's not a matter of like, just the fact that you thought this weird thing, people are going to judge you. It doesn't matter what you thought about this weird thing. It's like this came out of your mind. So I don't know. As a writer, you always got to be weary of, sharing all your, concepts until they're finalized. You know what I mean? If that's your final thought, that's a different thing. But if it's just a thought that popped in your head and you share it on social media, and then 10 seconds later, you're like, I shouldn't have shared that idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it becomes a thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a responsibility you have as a human being or on social media, whatever, an adult, whatever. So it's up to you, whatever. As far as getting canceled goes, like, no one gets really, I don't believe in, like, you know what I mean? Like, no one who's said anything stupid has ever been banished from reality. I don't think. I think.
You're not canceled forever.
Yeah, when you look at Kramer, for instance, like what he did and stuff. He still got to be on Curb Your Enthusiasm a couple seasons later and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you can say dumb things. It's when you do really horrible things that you might not come back, and that's different because saying something, whatever. Everybody said terrible things, I think, so everybody can kind of relate to being an idiot. But doing something, that's on you. You got to have control of your, everything. So. I don't know. That's just one of those things you worry about when you're on a podcast for 3 hours,
Yeah. on that note, I know I've kept you guys for a long time. Real quick, I'm gonna go around because we mentioned if you guys ever wanted to do Big 2 work, and I feel like I have a good pick for each of you. So I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna tell you what Big 2 property you should write, and then you're gonna tell me, and well, not tell me, but like tell everybody where to find you, where's the best place to follow you, keep track of your stuff. Adam, I feel like you would kill it on Green Lantern. I dig your fucking weird space vibes and so yeah, I feel like you could bring the DC Cosmic into a cool place. And on that note, we know you got a comic coming out from Source Point later in April, Corollary #1 on the 20th. Where's a good place to keep track of you online and keep track of your future projects?
Twitter would be like right now, the website's being built, but Twitter at Adam Rose 74 is definitely #1, or Instagram at ShazamCap. Those are the 2 places at the moment, but I'm hoping to have the site up in the next couple weeks. And yeah, I just read Far Sector, great graphic novel, kind of adjacent to the Green Lantern universe, really its own thing, but really smart, so like just out there, like high concept sci-fi, but super grounded too. And like an allegory for like race relations, everything. I mean, holy smokes. I recommend that, Far Sector.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And you heard it from here, folks. Adam Rose is ready to write the hot follow-up to Far Sector. He's ready to go. DC, get him on that.
Okay.
They would be lucky to have you, sir. Like, they would be lucky to have you.
Well, thank you for having me on here. I'll just end with that.
No, it was a blast. It was good talking to you. Jeff, I feel like if I was at Marvel, I would want you to write Excalibur. I would want you to bring that your quirky modern fantasy gangster mafioso vibe into the Krakoan age of X-Men. And man, I would be all about it.
I mean, I would say the X-Men is the first thing I ever got hooked on comic book wise. So like, yeah, to be able to write that. And then obviously I haven't kept up with all the stuff since like the Krakoa, like the Hellfire.
You need a second job.
I do. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just reading so hard to keep up with. It's like that right now I'm doing Sandman, so whatever, but I'll catch up with the Hellfire Gala and everything. But yeah, that would be sweet. I mean, if they want to hire me, I'll catch up tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I would love to write some X books. That'd be freaking cool as hell. Yeah, but as far as where you can find me at Jeff Schiller on Twitter.com. You can find my comic book, getmagicpowder.com. And we're on Kickstarter right now for another 3 days. We end on, I think, Sunday at noon Pacific time. So I guess that's 3 o'clock Eastern, whatever. It depends where you're at. So yeah, Kickstarter, Magic Powder #2. Come get it. We got like 185 backers. I'm hoping we get to 200. I think that'd be a really cool number to get to. We're already 30 past what we had last time, so that's cool. And money-wise, we're past that too. We're almost at a stretch goal where everyone will get free stickers and stuff like that. So if you guys like free stuff, come and get it. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me on, Blake.
15 more to 200. Let's do it. Yeah, man. Best of luck to you in your future campaigns. You got a backer out of me at least. I'll be there for more of that magic powder, not just because I like the way it smells. Sorry, that was the old party reference. We don't do that anymore. But
I throw that Ray Liotta from Goodfellas gif in there sometimes. So I get you.
Ruben, I feel like you would write. So I want to put you on New Mutants with Marvel, but I basically just want you to write a Magic mini series or maxi series. I feel like you have the angry Magic femme fatale archetype down, and uh, I feel like you do what like Ilyana would like benefit from a script from you. Like I feel like you would know how to make her swing that soul sword and put the hammer down basically. Like I feel like you would kill it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm probably one of the few people who actually dug the New Mutants movie. There was,
Oh, we're friends. We're friends
yeah,
now. I fucking loved that movie.
yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there. Obviously it goes off the rails a little bit towards the end, but again, that's just that's Fox being Fox. But I can fix that. I can fix that, or at least I can humbly try. Yeah, that's a good pick, man. I mean, I love that. You know, in Marvel, just because I'm Venezuelan Cuban, I would love a chance to write Miles, just to be able
Ooh.
to take Miles out of New York and take him back home to the Dominican Republic and let him have an adventure there. I think I have a whole idea, and then on the DC side, I'm something of a archer enthusiast, so I would love to play with Oliver Queen. I've got this crazy pitch that if I ever get the chance, I would love to give it to him.
You and
But
every single woman in Emerald City would love a chance to play with
yeah,
Oliver.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely. But yeah, you can find me at on Twitter at Ruben the Writer, on Instagram at Ruben the Writer. The Illusion Witch Book 1 drops June 15th in comic book stores through Behemoth Entertainment, and tomorrow morning 8 a.m. I launch the Kickstarter for books 4 and 5 of the Illusion Witch. So come check it out.
Oh shit. Oh man, we got a campaign going on tomorrow. I'll put you on blast. Get you like a backer or two, maybe.
Sounds good.
Probably not. They'll probably just. I think everybody's tired of my shit by now. They're like, Blake, we can't back all these Kickstarters like you can. I'm like, I'm pretty sure everybody makes more money than me, but that's fine. Whatever. It's cool. Super exciting. Illusion, which is awesome. I'm really stoked that you got a home at Behemoth, and yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for that new campaign. That's also super exciting. Mr. Sean, I'm going to say that you would be a good writer for The Question. I feel like your detective narrative would really go well with that. Also, the kind of just like creepy horror elements that you're embedding into all that. Also, your art style, I think, would really benefit his character and the way he commands the page and the panels. I just think that that'd be a solid fit. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. I'm not actually offering these jobs. I wish I was.
No, I wish you were too. Now, the characters that I get told I would draw like the best, like just from like people, are always like Constantine, Swamp Thing, and any like street level DC character. Those are like the people that everybody thinks my art style is like perfect for. So I've definitely steered into that skid with like my writing and my art. Just give me all of that good noir. Everything's black and gritty, and
yeah,
we're sad people staring at windows and it's raining outside.
That the Tom King way, the staring out the window.
Exactly.
No, I love Tom King. I just, your art is so good. You could draw anybody. I'm pretty sure. I would love to see, like if I had a bunch of side money, I'd commission a Swamp Thing from you, because I feel like the darkness and the plant life and stuff. I feel like you could knock that out.
Yeah, you can always hit me up. I will definitely do a drawing for you anytime.
Well, you're gonna regret saying that, but anyway. Sean, where do we find you at, bud? Where's the best place to follow you on the socials?
Probably the best place to find me is on Twitter. It's at Dicker Tweets. My Instagram is Sean_Dicker_art. And you can find Uncovered Grave at Dauntless Stories. Chapter 6 is coming out this Friday, so keep an eye out on that. Yes, very cool. And it's every week you get a little snippet of this
this dark detective narrative, and the mystery is solid, and it's worth the price of admission, and it's exciting to get these little snippets, and it's, you know, in these weird times, it's nice to have something to look forward to once a week, right? Like it's the little things, it's the little things that matter. Last but definitely not least, Mr. Renton, I would totally buy a Katana series by you. I feel like that would be awesome. You just know how to fucking draw badass people with swords, and I like the agency you give your characters without making them say a lot. I think that's very difficult, and I think Katana is one that is you know, not her dialogue means a lot, but she doesn't have a lot of dialogue, and so I feel like you could really kill in that regard. But regardless, you should just ignore what I said and keep writing Digital Ronin Express, because it's so fucking phenomenal. We can sign up for your Substack. We know that. We put the links up. Where's a good place to find you at, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, if you want to just go to Google and either type in Ronin Digital Express or Renton Hawkey, I should be pretty much the only thing that comes up. I don't really have a lot of competition there. I do have a Twitter, I have an Instagram. You know, you'll find like a link tree with everything relevant in a bio there. Really, if you want to keep tabs on me, I would sign up for my newsletter, which you could find through, you know, links and bios and such. I do a lot of, you know, here's, you know, news updates about stuff I'm working on, behind the scenes stuff. Here's what I might work on next. Occasionally I'll have a little rant that I have to get out there. I'll do not safe for work +18 type stuff there as well. So you can get your titty fix that way through me. So yeah, that would be probably the main venue for me. That's what I would recommend the most, is signing up for the newsletter. And yeah, just to, I guess, close out, I'm really glad that you took a second look at my email. I'm glad that you invited me on. It was really a pleasure listening to everybody talk about their projects and getting to know everybody a little bit. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to keeping tabs on you guys and kind of just seeing how your projects develop over the next several months and years.
Same.
Yeah, I can't agree with that anymore. On that note, guys, this is the longest. The episode 6 of Blake's Buzz Live is now the longest episode of Blake's Buzz Live we've ever had. This was so cool. All of you are so talented. You have wonderful stories. You are putting out the really just top tier nerdy content that I really hope my listeners check out. Regardless of what those weirdos do, you still got a backer and a buyer out of me, because I will be there to follow anything you guys put out. You are good people. I appreciate you. And not only that, you're just really fucking solid storytellers, and I dig your comics. I, again, like, thank you for spending your Wednesday night with me. You know, and I wish you all the best of luck and the best of everything this nerd world has to offer you. You're all putting in the work. You're all putting in the effort, and it's good. Sean, dude, thank you for being thank you for letting me be your first interview. And
of course, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I like, keep killing it, man. Like, you got a very strong start, and I wish you nothing but the best, bud. I hope Dauntless keeps you around for other stuff in the future. Everybody else, Ruben, you know, you're just cool. I told you were cool a long time ago. You're still cool after talking to me for 3 hours. Adam, man, you and your kids make great comics. Jeff, I love your fantasy stuff. Renton, I love your Ronin stuff and like the just culture and research that you did. No, but I joke and I'm a smart ass, but all you guys are so fucking talented, and I wish you nothing but the best for all your future endeavors.
Hey, man, thank you for having us on. Shout out to your dog, and I hope you have a good weekend too, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna play this little outro, and then you guys can get out of here and go back to your nerdy lives or whatever the hell else. It's midnight here. I don't know what the fuck everybody else does.
Probably 10. Yeah.
Episode 6 is a wrap. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Good
And we
time.
did it.